Hello and welcome to episode 82 of Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host Darren Whittam, and joining me this week it's Nintendo's nice guys switched on and mobile for our listening pleasure. It's Antony Chesson and James Thomas. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing, guys?
Not too bad. I like that we get a double intro. That's quite cool.
Yeah, I know. Up in one Switch-like pocket. I like it.
Yeah, that took a lot of work, so I'm glad you appreciate it.
I did. That was very slick. So, James, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. I think since last time we spoke, I did the special effect live stream that you guys so kindly plugged a couple of weeks ago. For 3 hours the other Friday, me and some friends from work managed to stream co-op and couch competitive games for the Xbox for 3 hours of fun, and it went down well. It went down well indeed. We raised about $5,000, I think, in total for special effects once everything had been totaled up. So it was a good laugh. It's about the first time I've done the streaming thing since Rare Replay as well. So it was good to get back in the hot seat, shall we say.
And you did a fine job too, sir. It was very funny. I was watching it kind of on my way home. I was walking through the streets of Tonwells because I was coming home. I was on the train and then I kind of watched it when I got home as well. And it was a really good laugh. It was really good fun.
Cheers. Yeah, it was a hoot doing it as well, because I think a lot of people rocked up being a bit nervous about being, on the internet or so, and I think once everyone started playing, everyone started relaxing back into it though. So we had one person who couldn't stop swearing throughout the course of one of the games, but thankfully with Hitman on the rotor, it was a mature rated stream anyway, so we managed to get away with it.
Oh, that's good.
And just how did you get Hitman in a couch co-op stream?
Well, I think as one of you two mentioned, is that you could tell James has orchestrated this list. Yes, yeah. So this is based off of Giant Bomb's way of playing Hitman, and so they call it Mexico rules. So you just choose a level, and we chose Sapienza, which is a lot of people's favourite level, the Italian village by the coast. And you put into a hat all the combinations of disguises and weapons that you can find easily in the level. And so you have to try and complete the mission with those items that you've plucked from the hat. So I think one of my friends got the fact he had to dress up as a plumber and then use an explosive to kill one of them, and the other one had to dress up as a chef and poison them or so. So it just adds an extra level of dastardliness to proceedings or so. So it wasn't really... I guess it was more like pass the pad co-op, that sort of old style gameplay that you got when you had to share a game with your brother.
Yeah, but you squeezed it in, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, we ended fantastically as we just ended up lobbing explosive golf balls at the target. So
you could make some quite nice plush Cluedo-type cards for that, couldn't you? The plumber outfit.
Yes, a nice deck of randomness.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be so cool. I must admit, I did love the Xbox One S that you guys auctioned off on eBay. That was a Sea of Thieves themed Xbox One S, and it was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I think that raised a ridiculous amount of money, so some collector somewhere in the world has got that. But it was one of three of a kind, so I'm hoping... Well, I don't know where the other two are going to crop up, but I think they might be, somewhere in the offing. But yeah, delightful. Oh, wow. I wasn't allowed to touch it. I was expecting to do sort of the QVC job of selling it on the stream, but no, I wasn't allowed anywhere near it.
You've been moisturising all week and everything. You had soft
had my cuticles done.
They were looking fine and they never let you touch it.
One of those other two might be waiting for you for good work and good service.
Or one's in his boot and the other one's in his shed.
Yeah, after Mission car boot, it's fine.
So, Anthony, how's your week been?
Oh, mine, not too bad at all. I went to see Logan at the weekend. Which is the brand new Wolverine movie, which is absolutely superb. I went to my local IMAX and they were showing a 2D presentation of Logan. So they did this before with the Deadpool and also I think with James Bond as well. But this is quite nice. I'm quite as much as I like 3D, I'm quite liking 2D IMAX. It was very cool because you get a nice big screen, you get a nice big sound, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the movie was incredible. It's an R-rated, it's a 15 R if you're in the US, 15 if you're in the UK version of Wolverine, and at last this is a proper Wolverine movie, and it is just absolutely superb. It's a stunning movie.
So does this take place in sort of later on in the stories that we've seen in the X-Men films, or is it a prequel, or is it a thing of its own?
No, it takes place in 2023, I believe. I think it was about 2023, and basically the premise is that Wolverine, Logan, and Professor X are kind of one of the only surviving mutants that are available. They do kind of touch on how that's happened. There's also a fantastic character who is the albino character, who is played by Stephen Merchant, who is just absolutely fantastic, and he's very, when the first time he says spotty dick, you just can't help but chuckle. He just plays it really well, and he plays it really well. So yeah, so it's kind of set in the future, and it's just so cool. I mean, the moment you kind of see Wolverine right at the start, you get kind of like Wolverine with his claws out, taking people's arms off. There's lots of blood. It's just like, it's not like, oh yeah, there's blood, but it was like, yes, this is the comic book Wolverine that I've been reading for years. This is the Marvel Knights version of Wolverine, and this is the awesomeness and it's absolutely fantastic, and we got this because Deadpool did so well, and because this R15 rated comic book movie did really well, and I'm just so glad, because it really does fit the tone of Wolverine. And there's nothing funnier than when you hear Professor Xavier swear, which is just absolutely just classic right at the start. He just swears, and it just made me chuckle, and I think I chuckled out loud in the cinema as well.
Brilliant. I mean, it wasn't on my list to watch, I must admit, but when you mentioned Smirch, who I didn't know was in it, it makes me want to see it. I really love Stephen Merchant, man. So anything that he's in, I watched him do that Crystal Maze thing that was well funny. I think everything he touches turns to comedy gold. Not that I'm saying Logan's a joke or anything, but I just mean I like the guy.
So yeah, though it's absolutely fantastic. It's a really good. I mean, because the last X-Men movie that we had was X-Men Apocalypse, was so-so. It was a bit of a dud. But this one really just does kind of go, yeah, that's a really important franchise, and I'll be interested to see kind of what they do with Wolverine's character now, because I know I was watching an interview, I think it was on UK TV, and Hugh Jackman has now said, that's it. He's done with Wolverine. I have a feeling he might turn up in Deadpool 2, just as a bit of a cameo, but just because of the stuff that happened in the original Deadpool. But I think that's it. So it'd be interesting to see if somebody else fills his shoes, and if we get kind of Wolverine being a bit like a James Bond, where you have different people playing the same character.
Who is there anyone you'd prefer to see take his role?
It'd be difficult to replace Hugh Jackman, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You get people. Who's the chap who played Bane? Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Now, because you kind of need that. He needs to be a bit grumpy. He needs to be a bit disgruntled. That's kind of how you need, or whether you need to go even younger. But, I mean, it would blow my mind if we were kind of in Marvel Infinity War, which is the movie that's coming out next year, if suddenly just Wolverine came. It was Wolverine because of the claws, obviously. That's a giveaway. And it just came into that universe, and it could be a brand new character. And I'd be as great as Hugh Jackman's been over the last 20 years as Wolverine. I just love that character, so I'd love to see Hulk pick Wolverine up and throw him into an enemy, because that's what they do in the comic book. So someone like Tom Hardy would be quite cool, I think. But well worth a watch. I mean, this weekend I'm off to see Kong. That's IMAX 3D, so Kong Skull Island, which I'm incredibly excited about. Can't wait to see that on Saturday. But it's quite interesting, because right now we're in March, and we've got really good movies back to back, and also really good games as well. It just seems like we're kind of in the middle of November right now, because it's just.
We were saying this, it just feels like an October-November time, whereas we just haven't had time to get through them, because I guess spoilers for what's coming up, but it's like Horizon Zero Dawn. I ended up not getting Horizon Zero Dawn because it was so close, 2 days off Zelda. And then we got Ghost Recon this week, and prior to that there was Nier that everyone was talking about, and Mass Effect coming out at the end of the month. It's ridiculous at the point.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a Automata game as well that's coming out, I think, this Friday, as well as Ghost Recon. There is just so much stuff.
Mass Effect Andromeda at the end of the month, and then Persona 5 as well, which I'd like to look at. That's another... It's not a game you can just quickly look at, is it? You know, you've got to put the hours in. It's kind of... There's no room to breathe.
That's like the 8th of April, isn't it? Persona 5 is like the 8th of April. And that was, for me, that was like, oh, I'm going to play that. Because that got delayed. It was supposed to come out last year, and then it got delayed into February, and then it got moved to April. And I'm quite pleased that it was. Because, yeah, like you, I've never really played a Persona game. I have one on my Vita. But... I really, really am interested in Persona 5. It looks like it could be a ton of fun, and on the PS4 as well. So
yeah, and Yakuza 0 as well, I might add. That's been another quality game that we've had.
Yeah. Yes.
To fit them all in with Neo and all the ones we just mentioned, flipping out, you know, like you say, we've got Neo, what's it called? Automata. Coming out.
They I don't know who put Nia and Nia out in the same release window. It's ridiculous.
It's tying my brain in and not just saying Nia. It's Neo Automata, isn't it? I'm glad about saying Automata as well. I learned it the other day. I heard someone speaking of it. They said Automata. I was like, thank goodness for that. It's Automata. It's not Automata. So I was...
Automata.
That's an alternative vegetable. No.
I know. That's why I didn't like mentioning it, because I always sounded like I was giving you a choice of Nier or Automata, but it's Nier Automata, and it just sounds so much better.
You're just near an old tomato. That's just like...
Near, you can either be Neo or Automata. I don't know what it even means. But yeah, just so many games. It's just... it's kind of paradise, but trying to get through them especially, you know, because of the podcast and wanting to report on different games each week, it's difficult because it's like, well, I can't. I don't want to rush these games. You want to enjoy them, don't you? You know. So
that's my week. So, Daz, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been really good. I tell you what, first of all, I've got to announce a momentous occasion to you both, and that is, it just happened before recording. I'm so excited and proud. My little boy, Sam, just completed Resogun in rookie mode with no continues.
Wow.
Which I think is amazing.
I can't do that.
This is all thanks to the 4K update, I think, because I started playing it. Well, I started playing it again anyway. But the 4K update came out, so I played it more. And luckily, he got Sam's attention a little bit, so he's moved away from Rogue Legacy, thank goodness. And he started to show an interest in Resogun, so I was explaining to him how it works, because there's a few systems going on in that game. You know, you've got to destroy the keepers to free the human and collect the human, take it to the base. Whilst keeping an eye on your multiplier, which is a difficult concept to explain to a 6-year-old. And all that, you know, it's all wrapped together with your boost and your overdrive and what have you, and it's quite frantic. Anyway, he just took a shine to it, and he started playing it. And first of all, we played it co-op, because you can play co-op local. You can actually play co-op online, which we've never done. Antony, we'll have to do that sometime.
Right.
So we started playing co-op, and I sort of protected him a bit. And then he's played single player, and he's been playing it for the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, I'd say. And anyway, just before the podcast, there's a trophy that I'm trying to get that I noticed, because I'd never played it for trophies. I just played it and never looked at the trophies. There's one trophy and it says complete experienced without continuing, which I haven't done, and I've been playing it on veteran anyway. But I've tried this experience challenge and it's quite hard to do without continuing. Anyway, Sam has been playing single levels of each level, and he can do them all. And so I sort of posited to him this morning or something, or maybe the other day. I was like, I bet you could do it all, Sam. And he was like, yeah, maybe I could. He said, yeah, and then I won't be a rookie anymore. Well, I'll be experienced. And I was like, yeah, of course, man. So anyway, before podding, about 6-ish this evening, about 5:30, he said, can I play on Resogun? And I said, yeah, of course you can. So single player. He said, right, I'm going to try. I'm going to try and do it without continuing. And he did. He did it, man.
Wow.
He went from level 1. He rescued all the humans, including the secret humans, on like every level except 2, I think it was. He got the high score on rookie. He's got 71 million, and he's on the leaderboard in 7,000 and something place out of 120,000 people. And I'm so proud.
That's quite a good debut at the charts.
It was a pleasure to watch him doing it as well. The techniques that he employed. I was watching him, there's bullets coming towards him, and I was like going, oh, no, but keeping quiet because I didn't want to put him off. And the way that I watched him play, he was dodging the bullets and he was dodging the craft and using his boost to boost through, swarms of enemy aliens, stopping at the right time, calculating, picking up his human, dropping it off at the base, using his bombs wisely. Oh man, I tell you, it was amazing. It was an absolute pleasure to watch. I should have streamed it. I should have recorded it. So I'm just dead proud. I can't believe it, because I don't know whether I can beat his high score for starters. So I kind of want to try to see if I can, but I don't want to beat his high score because it's his.
Pull the power out at last second. But he must have learned so much just by watching you, just picking up the techniques time and time again.
Yeah, maybe. And he's just, because he's young, he can just adapt, I think. Honestly, it's a pleasure to watch. So, as long as his interest stays with Resogun, I'll keep you updated. Maybe he'll, because he's going to move on to Experienced. And, right. I don't know, maybe him and me will get on to playing Veteran together, and then maybe even Master. Oh, wow. He just said in the bath, I was just kissing goodnight in the bath before podding, and he said, Daddy, he said, what if like I'm on the leaderboard? He didn't say it like that, he doesn't speak like that, he speaks very nicely, but I was just sort of paraphrasing. He said, what if somebody challenges me? He said, imagine if I got a message on the PlayStation and someone challenged me to complete all of Master on without continuing. And he said, and imagine if I did it, and I'd be the king of the leaderboards and the best 6-year-old at Resogun. And I was like, yeah, man, Sam, that's brilliant. Yeah, cool. So I just thought I'd say, Resogun's an awesome game, and I've had years of him being small and not being able to play games that were perhaps very interesting. Though I was always interested watching him, because I've loved to watch him develop. And with games, I think I've said this before. We've all got the same tool set. So he's got, he's got every advantage that I've got, really, apart from a bit of experience, give or take. But I've watched him adapt at games from a very early age, like when he first completed a level, I think at 3, when he did for level 1 of Bit Trip Runner, and I jumped in the air and punched the air because I was so proud. And I love that, because that pad, Bit Trip Runner, it's like got up, down, left, right, and jump. The first level, that's probably all you need. And I love it that we had the same constraints regardless of our ages, and I quite liked that. And I've been sort of, it's just always a pleasure to watch. But it's even better to watch a game that's good. Yes. Bit Trip Runner is good anyway, but just watching some games like Rogue Legacy for I don't know how long. Rogue Legacy is also good, but crikey, he's played that game to death. So it's great watching a game that I consider to be sort of a hardcore game, and watching him do well in it. It's just made me very proud. It was a nice moment, so I thought I'd share it. So that was good, and that happened just moments ago. Wow. And
so is the next stage basically him beating you in a one-on-one contest?
I'd love that if he beat me.
Would you? There must be that mix of pride and hatred towards yourself at that point, being bested by a small child.
No, I'd love to. Any other small child, I'd probably be pretty gutted. But I wouldn't mind, because I just think, I feel a bit like you said. I taught him. He's learned and adapted, and now he's my my superior at 6. Yeah. I didn't imagine that it would happen so early, but never mind.
Why are you crying, Daddy? Well, with pride.
But you can't let him win, because you can't let him think he's better than you, because then he's got the upper hand. Throughout life, he's then got the upper hand on you.
He has got the upper hand straight away. He rules the roost. He's like, yeah, I'm snivelling, and he's like, go on, Daddy, get to bed. You're worthless now, and he puts his feet up and just plays Resogun all night. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's really good. I also hope there's the thing here that I hope that I'm not bringing up a nightmare gamer, and I hope that I do this in the right way. With limited time playing and all the rest of it, and I'm bringing up a responsible gamer. So we'll see, I suppose, over time. But I'm doing my best to do that. And I'm really proud of that, but I am a bit scared of these days. A lot of kids, they do just, and I was one of them myself. I spent a lot of time just holed up in my room playing games. But when I was small, there was no internet, so I do worry about that a little bit. I sort of hope that we will share our time gaming together, and I hope that will last as long as possible. But I do, as a parent, I don't like the idea of him, and I don't know, this might sound too controlling, and this might be just because of the age he is, because I certainly don't think he's appropriate at this age, and maybe that'll change when he gets older. But I do worry about what can happen online, even on Xbox Live, never mind the fully fledged internet. So
Just keep him away from Call of Duty. That's the best thing to do. Just keep him away from Call of Duty, and then he will, because once they get hooked to Call of Duty, that's it. They just they don't play anything else. So
I think you're right. Yeah,
surely co-op games are the way to go, to begin with. Anyway, because how is he with Lego games?
Yeah, he quite likes Lego games. I try and show him a robust selection of all different games that I think are appropriate and that he'll like. But he used to enjoy Lego games when he was 3 and 4, and he would play them quite a lot. But nowadays he's gone off them. I think he likes sort of, I was going to say instant action, but Rogue Legacy isn't like that. So he likes the collection aspect of roguelikes. He quite enjoys Spelunky. He likes Rogue Legacy. He doesn't mind watching a bit of Stardew Valley, but he wouldn't play it. He says it's too hard for him, which, fair enough, it probably isn't. And it bores him after a while. He'll sort of sigh if I put that on. And he also isn't bothered about games like Subnautica. And even, he's not that keen on Horizon Zero Dawn either, because to him, it's kind of just watching running around all the time. There's not enough.
Those sort of games, I think you must be involved in, though. I think open world games where you are trying to go to A to B or something like that, and you've got a plan in your mind. But I know from what Ali tells me, it can be quite tedious just to see me, fast travel or stalk through collecting resources and bits.
To him, it's just the same thing. just on, and you're like going, "This is the best thing ever." I've said it to him. I said, "Sam, this is amazing." He's like, "I'm not bothered." He goes, "It's a boring daddy game." I was like, "Okay."
It's a new genre.
Yeah, he loves Minecraft though. So he loves Minecraft. He's quite happy to build in that. Maybe he'll like this new Lego Worlds game that's coming out, because that's a bit more free-form creative, isn't it? This new Lego game.
Yeah, another one out this week. Yeah,
another one to get through. So so he likes what I give him a choice, and he still picks and he chooses from what I offer him. But his favourite at the moment is definitely Resogun, and I don't know what to show him after that, really. I'll think. He also likes Rock Band, but he can't play it, so he gets frustrated. So that does his head in. Even I gave him a fake little toy guitar, but he knows it's not working.
He's of an age where he'll see straight through that.
Yeah, he's just not bad, so it doesn't help. So that was good news, a high scoring game on Resogun from my little boy. Very proud. And the rest of my week was really spent. I've been strong, about the Switch. It's the elephant in the room, the Switch. And I've been strong about it, and I've been saying, and I thought, I didn't really want one, and I said I didn't want one, and I was okay with it. I was kind of sure that I didn't, until the Zelda reviews dropped on last Thursday, was it? Or Wednesday?
Mm-hmm. I think it was Thursday. I think it was Thursday morning, wasn't it, where the reviews start to roll in.
I think that's right, yeah. So I think they happened I think I noticed it just after I'd finished editing the pod, or posting the pod out there. And then I saw these blanket 10s and read some reviews, and then all of a sudden the want started within me. And it was just then the justification started within me, and the conflict of everything that I'd said versus wanting Zelda. And it was just a nightmare, really. And I was so close on a number of times. Nintendo's magical pull from someone who is a gamer and that's loved Nintendo consoles. I think I've owned all of them, and it was just calling so loudly to get Zelda. Buy me. Oh man, but I've stood fast. I'm a bastion of iron will, I think. The ultimate test, I went seeking one out, because they were in numerous shops around me.
Right.
And so I kind of didn't know whether I wanted one or not, whether I was going to buy one or not. I wanted to test myself, so I found one. I looked in a few shops. Now, they had them in Argos in the morning, but they sold out by the afternoon. And then I went to sort of Asda and Tesco, and both of those didn't have any. So then I just, on the off chance, Smith's Toys was just near Asda, so I went in there. And they not only had them in stock, but they also had one on the counter that they were demoing, so I had a little play. And there it was. I could take one if I wanted. And I resisted.
What stopped you? Was it just the actual outlay, or was it just the realise it would be frivolous just for the weekend? What was the actual trigger that made you walk out without it?
Well, I had the money put by, and this is something else that I regretted doing, because I sold my Wii U in advance of the announcement of the Switch in order to buy the Switch. Convinced that I would love whatever the Switch was. And that was what annoyed me about Zelda so much, because if I hadn't sold my Wii U, I could have just bought Zelda. And that's been niggling at me like mad. So I got the money, all put aside for the Switch. It was just that over the weeks I got more and more annoyed by, I don't know, Nintendo's arrogance, in my opinion. But I think what stopped me was I looked at it and I was like, oh crikey, I could just get one here. Sat Sam on the countertop and we had a game of 1-2 Switch together.
I thought you could say as a part exchange. It's like, how much do I get for this?
I can get one Joy-Con.
Can I trade this boy in? He can play games well. Yeah,
he can play Resogun. He can complete Resogun. How much do I get for him?
Yeah, no, I popped him up there so we could grab a Joy-Con, and we had to go 1-2 Switch, and it was okay. It was okay, but I think that ultimately, when I looked at 1-2 Switch, and we'll get to this in a minute, but 1-2 Switch didn't sell it to me. I don't think they should have had that on the game on the counter. I know it demonstrated the Joy-Con. But the first thing out of my mouth was when I saw it, the presentation on screen was just how did I have to phrase it? I think it was just sort of like, how primitive is this? Like the cheapness of just using still photographs. I mean, I only played 3 games, but still photographs on the screen to demonstrate the games. I was kind of appalled at the presentation, but I did love the HD Rumble. I did that thing where you roll the Joy-Con left and right, and you can feel the balls. You've got to guess how many balls are in the box.
Yeah.
I thought that was truly amazing because I could guess. You could feel those balls rolling up and down in the box, and that was really cool. But I think ultimately it was. I didn't like the presentation of 1-2 Switch. I didn't like the price of 1-2 Switch. It made me even more think that it was a tech demo-y thing that should really be included, and
Definitely.
that we're being fleeced.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a cheek to be charging for it. Then I looked at the peripheral costs, and I just started to get that resentment. I was looking at the Pro Controller, and I was looking at the price of thingy, the price of 1-2 Switch, and then the price of Zelda. They'd sold out of Zeldas, and it had to be a digital copy, which was okay. And they actually had quite a good deal on. I think it was £320 including Zelda. So you got Zelda for £40, that was a good deal. But yeah, I just saw it, and I walked around the shop, and I just thought, you know what? Ultimately, I totted it up, and I think I would be ending up paying £380 for Zelda. And I've got Horizon Zero Dawn, open world game, and I just kind of thought, as 10 out of 10 as it is, I don't feel that I can pay that much for. Basically, that's the price of the game to me. I was looking at it, that's how much that game's going to cost me, because there's nothing on the horizon that I want on that system. And I'm not a commuter. But if I was still in London and getting the train to work every day, I think I would have had one on launch. That's the difference. See, I haven't got any use for it as a portable console. For me, it would only be a home-based, plugged into the TV console. And so, because I haven't got that extra dimension that I'd use it for, that extra bit, if I had a use for that portability, that would have took me over the edge. But because I hadn't got that, I think that's what stayed my hand ultimately. The fact that it was nearly £400 for a game that I've got a kind of similar game ongoing at the moment that I really love, and I haven't got that extra dimension to enjoy because I'm either driving or at home really, and I don't get the train, I don't travel for work or anything like that, so I wouldn't get that aspect.
What about taking it to bed? Because I found that, and we'll get to kind of James and I kind of unpacking the Switch, but yeah, I've been finding I've been taking mine to bed. I've been like kind of when I'm going to bed.
Nicola, you're in the spare room.
Yes, go into the spare room.
Don't need you anymore.
Nicola comes into the bedroom and it's there on the pillow. I'm just like this is my new mistress now. But I've been really enjoying just kind of like kind of an hour before I go to bed. I've just been enjoying kind of like just kind of doing something in Zelda.
Oh right, no, I don't know. I don't fancy that though. No, it's not for me. I don't think I would game in bed.
Right.
It's just I don't know why. Though it does remind me when I used to put my Game Gear on in the dark, and it lit the whole room with its wonderful colour screen until the batteries died 10 minutes later. And that was really good. But yeah, I think that's ultimately it. It was the fact that I haven't got that mobile use. So I walked out without it.
That's incredibly restrained. I'm impressed by that.
I was still unsure on the way home. I was like, but then some way on the drive home, I sort of realised that I did the right thing there. I don't want it. and then I was cured. I was so relieved. So I had to face it. Go face to face. Had to go toe to toe. Yeah, I had to. I had to be in the position where I could have got it.
I spoke to a lot of people this weekend because I think a few people that we know between us were all umming and erring after, Antony and I were gushing on Twitter about how awesome it was, along with the rest of the Switch owning population. And I think so many advice I gave was just like, just wait for the weekend to go. Wait for the weekend to go, and I think that lust, that urge to get new technology fades very quickly once the zeitgeist has started to move over the horizon behind you.
It's so powerful at the time, though.
That's why I bought PSVR, and I kept using that as an example this weekend. It's like I have buyer's remorse on PSVR, and it's because I got caught up in the hype that weekend. And if I'd have just waited, if I'd just managed to hold out a week, I'd have been fine, and I would be sat here going, I wonder what VR would be like. But I would not have this regret, and I'd have several £100 more in my bank account at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had someone like a couple of guys on Twitter that was saying, "Well, I don't really like Mario. I'm more of a Sega kid, but I really want one." And it was just like, and as you said, James, it is just like just write it out. Just lock yourself away. Play the good games that you've got right now, and just enjoy
Horizon,
what you
play
have.
Horizon, enjoy Horizon.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like there's nothing else to buy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the only console. I was like, my justifications were going around in circles. It's like, well, there's only this and Scorpio to get. This is right at the beginning of the year. Who cares? Just get it. Who cares? It's only a bit of money. It's only filling my car up several times. Who cares? All these things. Yeah, I won't order takeaway for a few months. Who cares? It's no money, really. Honestly, over the time I'll have it. But I managed to stop it. I don't know how, but I might get one sometime. We'll get to that. Well, guys, you tell me, should I be getting one? How is it?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to start. I mean, I picked mine up on Friday morning. I went to Game, and we heard about that last week. So I went to Game, picked up my Nintendo Switch. Said goodbye to Game forever. Picked up my Nintendo Switch. I got a Nintendo Switch, and I grabbed the carrying case as well. Got that nice little carrying case and a copy of Zelda. So I jumped on the train, unboxed it on the train because unfortunately I was going to have a Switch day at home, but I had to go into work. So I kind of unboxed it on the train, and straight away I think kind of unboxing the Switch, even the box, this thing kind of, for me, just screams quality. This is, I think I might have said it out loud because I had my headphones on, and the kind of guy across the way kind of was looking at what I was unboxing, but I was just like, hello Nintendo, and I was just like, this is kind of like, welcome back, I've missed you. This is the quality that we kind of, the N64 kind of level of quality. So I got it out of the box, turned on the Switch. Luckily for me, it had a bit of charge. I think it was about 50% charge. So I kind of got it, unplugged the unwrapped the Joy-Cons, kind of clicked those in, which both have an incredibly satisfying click. Don't you think, James? It's like when you put your Joy-Cons in, it's just, everything just kind of clicks quite nicely.
It's not even that. When you click them back into the console when it's on the dash, I think it actually plays the sound effects that they kept using.
Yes.
So it's just almost like a parody of itself. It almost started poking fun at it, and I love that.
Absolutely, I forgot about that. Yeah, when you have it turned on and you kind of stick them down, it's so good. So I got that, so they kind of fired it up. We kind of went through the setup. I wasn't online, obviously, because I was on the train, and it didn't care about that. It wasn't like, you have to be online. I knew there was a day one patch that was coming, but there was kind of, you didn't have to be online. Didn't worry about that. So I just kind of logged in, and within, I'd say about 15 minutes, I was playing Zelda, and I was just sitting there on the train. Luckily, my train got a little bit delayed just outside London Bridge, and I was like, yes, because I just got more time with this console. And it's incredible. I just sat there, and I think I sent you a picture, Darren. I think I put a picture on Twitter as well. I just sat there. I was like, I can't believe that I'm playing quality games such as Zelda, such as a Zelda game that was right from the start just screams quality on the go. I can't believe that I've got this in my hand, and I still do that. And since then I have had a trip up to Manchester where I've been playing it for 2 hours there. 3 hours on the way back, and I was battery life's kind of just stayed for me, which was fantastic for both of those trips, and I was just so impressed at we'll get to Zelda a bit later, but I was just so impressed at how comfortable this thing feels when it's docked, and I've been playing a lot of the Switch in a handheld mode, and that's why I was asking about kind of whether you would take it to bed. And I think it was like it wasn't until Sunday that I set up in the movie room, set the dock up. So I had it Friday and Saturday, but it wasn't until Sunday morning that I put it onto the big TV, because I just up until then I'd been playing that and Fast RMX. I've been playing both of those. Or I can't really say I've been playing Fast RMX because when I fired up Fast RMX, I've just been going, I want to play Zelda, so I've just been like going straight back to Zelda. So I've been playing like those two games, and I've just been handheld the entire time. It's
interesting that you say it's been quite, because I found after a while. I mean, I admittedly I did lie in bed on Saturday for 2 hours and play it in its handheld format. But yeah. I did find that after, and you could say, well, it's been after 2 hours, but after 2 hours, it did start feeling a little achy, because I think it's playable, and obviously we've both spent a lot of time with that, but I still don't think it's the optimal way to play it, just because of the quite flat nature of it.
Right.
And I think it still suffers from that same sort of thing that the 3DS and the 2DS do, that you are basically gripping a large flat object. They have improved it by sort of beveling up the triggers and giving you a slight bit of grip, but it's definitely not as comfortable, say, as playing with a proper controller or even the gamepad from the Wii U. So I think that it's okay, but I think it does start to crush after a while. So I'm impressed you managed quite a few journeys with it.
I was surprised because I thought that was its power, if you like. That was its native mode. That was its USP. That was the main way to play it, I was thinking.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for me, it was like completely comfortable. I mean, like I say, 2.5 hour trip from Manchester to Euston, and I played it all the way. I didn't even get my laptop out of my bag. Normally, I kind of brush up on my to-do list or make sure I've done all that, send some emails. But I was like, nope, I'm just playing the Switch. So I sat there. I stuck a podcast on and I was just playing it. And yeah, and maybe it was just because I was sitting up and maybe not laying down, but I was just. I mean, in no time at all, suddenly I'm at Euston, and it's very cool.
That's true, actually. When I was lying back in bed, the weight was probably forwards rather than back, so I think, maybe if it's resting in your hands, you can last for a longer time. I'm still waiting for like the first Mario Kart sort of like gripper wheel that can wrap this entire thing up so you can have a ergonomic hand grip for it.
Oh wow, that would.
But I'm sort of skipping back to a point that you said when you first unboxed it. I am really impressed with the build quality. I actually had quite low expectations, because obviously you can watch the videos, you can see the high-res renders or so, but it doesn't get over the feel or just the tactility of just picking out the box and touching it for yourself. And it is quite light, but it is impressively built. It doesn't seem like the plastic toy that we got with the first DS, that we got with the Wii U, that felt like Fisher-Price had knocked this out. This feels like a good, solid piece of modern electronics rather than a games company trying just to make something cheap and cheerful. Like the Joy-Cons have got almost like a slight rubberized edge to the plastic. The little joysticks again are rubberized. The buttons, although they're not the old D-pad and stylized buttons that you used to find on the SNES or so, they have adapted them so they do have that slight I guess resistance to them, so you can feel them going up and down it. And it just feels like they've learned from a lot of the mistakes, I think, from their handheld and the Wii U launch, and what a good piece of hardware feels like.
No, absolutely. I mean, when I kind of unboxed it, I put the box back in my bag on the train, and I kind of had my Wii U, and it was my Nintendo Switch next to my iPhone and next to my headphones, and it all matched. It all looked the same, and it wasn't that kind of Wii U look, because I hated that big joypad. When I first unboxed the Wii U and I got that out, I was like, oh, this isn't nice. As you said, James, it felt Fisher-Price. So when you did bring this, I was like, this is a lovely piece of kit. And seeing it there with my other technologies, it just fitted. It just looked. It's like almost that Nintendo had looked at their peers and they had tried to match this device in with that as well, and it really did. it had its place with the Apple and the Bose of the world, and I just like, this is such a nice design and it looks incredible. I've gone for the grey one.
Yep.
Did you go for the grey one, James, or the neon one?
I did go for the grey one. I think I am happy with that now. I think I was erring early on, but I think, as you're right, like looking at it sitting with the rest of my AV stuff, I'm happy that it sort of blends in. And I heard a podcast earlier this week pull out a very good point. Like, if you're sat on the train with neon controllers, you have a tendency to draw attention to yourself. So I'm happy. I think I went for the slightly subtler version, so that if I do take it on public transport, I might not get as many looks or stares as otherwise. I mean, they look great. A few people at work managed to get the coloured ones, and so they look fun. They look exciting, but they do look like marker pens as well.
Right.
Yeah. If I would have bought one, I mean, I would have ended up with the grey one because all the neons had gone out of stock. But if I would have had a choice, I wanted the neon because I thought that was all part of the fun, you know. And I was gonna be proud and say, "Look at me, yeah, I don't mind."
It's a dangerous way to go, I thought, with the neons as well, because I can't remember which way round it is. So we say red on the left and blue on the right, but then as a pair of Joy-Cons, they sell the blue on the left and the red on the right, so it's like reversed. So they're basically just tempting you to buy extra accessories.
So you can have matching.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can turn your console blue or red depending on which team you support or whatever it is. So
layers of cheekiness just go on forever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to get other colours coming out very soon. You know,
you have to buy two sets. There'll always be alternate colours.
There'll be Luigi green.
Sold.
And Wario yellow. That would just be that's going to happen very soon. But I was very impressed because once you when I got home, I then started unboxing a little bit more, and I started playing around with the joypad that was there, because, you know, in typical game fashion, and I think I wasn't alone, that my Pro controller that I ordered from Game, because on the day that all of those kind of pre-orders went up, they were the only retailer that was selling a Pro controller. So I kind of grabbed one of those during a meeting, when I was kind of attending a meeting, and I was just like, well, grab one of those, and that never turned up on day of release. But like I say, I think I fared quite well, because judging by the news and Twitter, I think there was a lot of game deliveries that just wasn't arriving in time as well. So my game controller, my Pro controller, came the next day, came on Saturday. So I played with the controller that comes out of the box, and even that, the way that kind of all clicks in and the lights come on, it's a really nice controller. And I think if I didn't have such big sausage fingers, I'd be happy with it. But once I kind of got my hands on the Pro controller, that was just it was something. It was really lovely.
I held off that Pro controller. It's just too expensive. Honestly, it's horrendous for what it is. For £70 odd, I just cannot justify getting an extra controller where I probably actually won't use it that much, because I look back what I had with the Wii U. I got the Zombie U bundle that first came out, and that came packaged with the Pro controller, and I don't think I used it for more than when Ali and I played co-op Yarn Yoshi and Mario Kart. I think everything else, it was just easier to pick up the gamepad and carry on playing with that. And
I had a Pro controller for my Wii U as well, and when I was thinking about the purchase, I was thinking the reason to get a Pro controller for me is because of the lack of the D-pad on the Joy-Cons. But I would only need that if I really needed the D-pad. So if Street Fighter if that was the console I was going to play Street Fighter on or something like that, or any game that required a D-pad to be able to play properly, then I'd have to. It's sort of like, well, you're going to need a Pro controller, because they've dropped the D-pad off the Joy-Con, hasn't they? There isn't a D-pad on them.
Yeah, there's basically the 4 separate buttons that make up the quote-unquote D-pad. And
so you couldn't do a fireball. I bet a Dragon Punch would be really difficult.
I've never been a fighting game fan, so I couldn't tell you how it compares to that point, but it does feel... It doesn't... So I have my Switch next to me, you know, just in case there was any downtime in this podcast. So, but so your thumb can fit over all 4 buttons at the same time, and you can rotate them quite... I don't know, interactive. Can you hear that? You can hear it, and it's you can get through all the buttons very quickly. So the ridges aren't tall enough and to block that, and they're rounded on the top, so you can easily cycle round them with the
maybe you
swipe
could
of
do
your
it.
thumb.
Maybe it'd be better. maybe it'd be better. But that was the thought in my head. It was like, if I wanted a D-pad, that it would be the Pro for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
I must admit, since playing Zelda on the Pro, because like I say, I plugged it up on Sunday, and I think I was there for probably about 3 hours. I plugged it in just to see what it looked like on the big screen, and like 3 hours later, I was playing that completely with the Pro controller, and I loved it. It felt better than the controller that comes out of the box. And I know it's ridiculously expensive, but for me, it felt like an Xbox One controller, which is my favourite go-to controller. It's the thing I have the biggest problem about the PlayStation. It is the controller. I want it to feel more like an Xbox controller, and that's exactly what the Pro controller does. Unfortunately, and I still can't get out of it, the muscle memory that I have. Just is killing me on the Switch. Yeah. The buttons are wrong.
I think in Nintendo's defense, they probably got there first. But yes. For anyone who doesn't know at home, compared to an Xbox, the A and B are swapped around and the X and Y are swapped around. So when it pops up on screen in Zelda playing, press Y to do something really important. Yes, I died several times very early on because I was not pressing the right buttons.
It's like the first time I've ever played a game. It's like when I went over from PC to Mac. It's like, well, what's happened? Because it goes like press A, and I constantly putting marks on my map, on the map in Zelda, because you have to press B to come out of the screen. So I'm pressing A because that's where I think B should be. And so my brain is saying, "Yep, press B," and I'm pressing B on an Xbox, not on this. But it does feel, the price aside, it does. It's a very nice form factor, and I am kind of really enjoying it. And I do like the little kind of plus and minus buttons as well that they're kind of either side. They're on each Joy-Con or on the Pro controller, and they're quite nice. They're working very well with Zelda as well, because they're quite a nice distance. I think I'm kind of pretending I've got one in my hand now. They're quite a nice distance from the buttons to be able to just quickly move your thumb.
They're basically like the start and select, aren't they, or back and menu, or whatever configuration they're called nowadays, but
But I was very impressed overall with the so it would have been Friday night. So Friday night I kind of got home, put the Nintendo Switch onto the network, onto my Wi-Fi network. There was a patch, so it popped up saying there's a patch, would you like to download? That only took, I think, about five minutes, and then that was patched. I then went on to the Nintendo eStore, which was up and running, and I did say last week that I was so Game lost out on £100 to their favourite charity because the eShop was up and running, and I managed to download. We got given a code for Fast RMX, and I managed to download that game again quite quickly using the eShop on the Nintendo Switch. So I was quite impressed, and I'm quite. I know you were saying, Darren, earlier that you think kind of 1-2 switch is very basic, and I've heard that kind of from a few people that it is those kind of backgrounds. But I'm really loving the very clean design that the UI. And I don't know, were you able to kind of come out of 1-2 switch and look at the operating system and look at the menus and stuff?
Very briefly, just sort of the home screen and a very cursory click about. The only installed game was 1-2 switch, so that was really the only option that I went into. So not much, but it does look minimalistic and clean and easy to use.
Very
look and nice and white. It's it looks okay. A lot of people say it's probably the most minimalistic UI they've gone for, but as long as it's easy to use, I don't mind really.
Yeah, there's not actually much you can do in the operating system as it stands. It seems to have, it's got settings where you can update users and internet doobly what sits in parental controls, but apart from that, it's basically got a screenshot functionality and your games. So it's not like the Xbox or the PlayStation where you can delve deep and change which goodness knows what settings on your audio and output ratios and stuff like that. It's quite simplistic, and I think that almost is a cue to what their ultimate target audience is. Obviously the early day adopters are different, but long term it seems to be they just want to keep it simple.
Yeah, it could evolve over time.
Yeah,
but I think you hit on a good point there. For instance, I like sort of Nintendo. Well, I don't know if I like it, but it makes me smile that Nintendo's attitude on certain games, like on I remember it annoying me on Mario Kart 8 that I wanted the engine noise turning down so I could appreciate the music more. but there's no option to do that because Nintendo have set it at the right level, and that's it. It's like, this is right. You shouldn't have a choice. Yeah, and it always makes me smile, and it's kind of they do have that sort of attitude, but that takes out a layer of complexity, like you say, for the target audience that a lot of people probably can't be bothered with, don't want to get confused with.
Yeah, yeah. I think especially early on, half the time with these things, I just want to plug it. This is the reason why I do consoles and not PCs. I just want to plug it in and get going. It's fun.
Yes.
I think actually one of the day one fun is exploring new menus. So when it was over so quickly, there was a bit of me that was disappointed, but then equally I was going, thank goodness, it's just plug and play again.
More time for Zelda.
Yes.
And of course, it's worthwhile mentioning that the friend codes are back. So the friend codes are there. So we all have our own Nintendo telephone numbers that are there. So you still have to, using social media or text message, you still have to send someone a friend's code. And then once you plug that in, you then have to exchange that friend's code. And then you can then kind of add your friends. And it does tell you when they're online. So it does that kind of, I don't know if it...
You can't message them. You can't message them. You can just see what they're doing at this point in time as well. So it's a nicety, so you can see what your chums are up to. And I do quite like that the avatars, the gamer pictures at the moment are mostly quite big, bright and bold in classic Nintendo style. So I think I've got Luigi's face, someone else has got Mario's face sat next to me, and you see Metroid logos, but they're all big and colourful. So it's still quite a positive online thing at this point in time. Yes. Until people can talk to each other.
Indeed. I mean, it's quite interesting because I've set both Nicola and I up on the Switch. So in the top left-hand corner, you can see my logo, and you can also see hers as well. And then you can easily switch between like Chessman's page and Dookie Pie's page. You can very kind of easily even if I'm logged in, I can just click on that, and then Nicola can see kind of all of those non-settings that are there at the moment, or non-features that are there, but it's very easy to just switch between, as of course it would be, very easy to switch between the two players, which I quite liked.
It'd be awful if it wasn't simple to switch on the Switch.
And then whenever you fire up a game, it says, okay, who do you want to play? So it asks you every time you fire up a game, because I've got two people on there. I think it did it when I just had me, but when you kind of fire up Zelda, it just then pops up a little screen at the bottom, and it just asks you to kind of pick which user you want to play this game as, which I quite like. That was quite a nice kind of little feature.
So what would be the difference is between, say your profile and you switch to Nicola's profile, but you've downloaded games from the store, would it be, say, that the games would only show on Nicola's, or you would say that you only want to see certain games and Nicola would want to see others, and that's what the difference would be when you switch profiles?
No, at the moment when I'm switching between profiles, so I've got two tiles on my Switch at the moment. I've got Fast RMX and Zelda, and Zelda is a physical copy and RMX is a digital, and when I switch to Nicola's, it just shows those two, and she can access both of those as well. I thought I'd give you a bit of a test to see, because I bought RMX, or I downloaded RMX, I just wanted to see if Nicola could do it, and she can just click on it, and you can then play as her as well, so which is really cool.
So it sounds like everything that's available to one would be available to all the profiles then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's there. It doesn't change. Like when say if I'm logged into an Xbox or onto the big screen Xbox, and Nicola comes in and says she wants to play, I then log off as me, she logs on as her, and everything changes. The tiles, the background, the colour as well, all of that changes on the Xbox, but on the Switch, everything just seems to be the same.
Okay. So,
but like I say, but when you kind of go, oh, I want to play that game now, it pops up a little thing at the bottom, and then you can then choose which person you want to be, which user you would like to be. So I quite like that.
Oh, yeah, and that's useful for multiplayer, I suppose. So, your opponent sees either you or Nicola, or whoever it is.
Yes.
I've turned that off as well, because it used to do it for... I've just got myself on there. Ali hasn't signed up for a profile yet. But it used to pop up at the bottom, but I've turned that off, so you can get rid of that annoyance if you so wish.
Oh, can you? Because before I had that, you had to press the same button 3 times.
Oh, that's just to make sure you haven't turned on the system accidentally, isn't it?
Right, is it? Is that what that's there for? That you haven't just accidentally playing Zelda during work hours?
Your bag is trying to...
It's like I didn't know it was just on, so I just kept playing it. But no, I mean, so you got that, and then obviously there is also you can post to social media as well, so you can connect up your Nintendo account to both Twitter and Facebook, and it does quite a nice thing. It's when you take a screenshot, well, there's a button on the left Joy-Con which allows you to just click on, take a screenshot, and it adds it to your album, and then you can actually kind of stick some text, make it different colours, put it in different angles. You can put some text and overlay your screenshot, and then you can then post to Twitter. So you're almost like creating a meme out of your screenshots, which is quite nice.
It's so simple, but I think it works so well. Just adding that extra little bit of flavour, because I think whenever I tried to post something from Xbox or PlayStation, I felt it was quite awkward going in and adding all the text you wanted in a tweet to express what your screenshot says. But you can just add this really short, flippant, bold, bright pink text over the top of a Zelda screenshot if you want, and it just adds so much more character than just that 140 characters you're usually restricted to on the other platforms.
Yeah. And it's just lovely. I just really like, and like I say, I haven't posted to Facebook yet, but I've been posting to Twitter every time I come across a new area in Zelda. Sorry for anyone who follows me, but it's...
I've been told off from that at work. It's like, could you stop taking pictures of cool stuff, please? I haven't even got it out of the cellophane, said one of my friends. So.
That's their own fault. They should have it. They should be playing with it. But it's just, I mean, overall, I think, and I guess one thing to just talk about as well, because I have taking it on journeys, I have an Anchor power pack, so it's a 2 USB power pack. And I've been using that as well. I used it on the Friday because I didn't have time to charge the Switch while I was at work, so I just kind of used that. And what I have found is that this portable charger will charge the Switch and it's quite quick to recharge as well. And it will charge the Switch. But when you're playing, what it basically does is it almost like just keeps the Switch going. So when I was on the train coming home, I think I must have had about 25%. So I plugged in my little USB charger, and it just stayed there. So it didn't drain, but it also didn't charge. So whilst I was playing, this battery just kind of kept it going. But when I wasn't playing, when I had it in sleep mode, it charged it, and it was doing a good job of it. But whilst I was on the move, it was basically just kind of keeping it going. Whilst I was on the move and playing, it was just keeping it going. So, but I thought, if you did want to kind of make sure that your Switch never ran out of juice, then a portable power pack, and I'll put a link to the one that I've got that I got from Amazon, but that portable power pack really did kind of help and really kind of kept it going.
How much was that, Antony, roughly?
I think it was about £36, 36 pounds, I think.
Your Switch accessory spree is just horrendous.
But I got that
Antony's
anyway because
Switch experience is like £2,000.
But I had that.
That's the full experience.
I bought a new 4K telly for it as well, he says.
Shut up!
I did a new house as well while we're at it.
I bought that power pack.
The shelf wasn't good at home.
The power pack was actually a birthday present, and I had it before because what I was finding, if I didn't get that seat on the train, if the people who do kind of book my travel didn't put me on a seat with a power pack, then my iPhone or iPad would run out. So I needed to buy myself a power pack. So I've had that before. So that wasn't an additional Switch expenditure. So yeah. So I mean, I think all in all, I think I'm incredibly impressed with the Switch, and I'm happy that Nintendo are back. In my eyes, this is Nintendo are back and back with a force. And
I almost want, as much as I'm on the Switch Defense Force, I do want to temper that slight section of hyperbole there.
Thank you, James. I was biting my lip off.
Yeah. So I think
why?
No, they are back with the force after 3 days. Let's give this some time to settle in before we start labelling them as like this is the second coming. Because I'm sure the Nintendo Wii U sold gangbusters in the first week or so, and then we know what happened there. I do think it's an amazing return. I'm impressed with the quality of hardware they have put out, the actual build quality. Yep. Of the hardware they have put out. I think they have learned an awful lot, which is surprising considering what the 3DSs have looked like in recent years. I think they have actually learned a lot from the tablet market as a whole. But I do still feel that the slight... I mean, we will come on to this in Zelda, and I think it's almost best that we talk games very soon, but I do think it is slightly underpowered for what it is and what they are trying to do. But before we go down that, because I think we've talked tech for a moderate amount of time with actual games, shall we get into the juiciness that is Zelda, and then I will back around on this when we have some actual solid context to talk about?
Okay, go for it.
Zelda's amazing, everyone should get it. Okay.
See, there it is.
There we go.
This is the thing, the Switch is a Zelda machine. If it wasn't for Zelda, there'd be no point in getting it.
I completely agree with that, and I still said this. I've said this before. I say this now. I still think that releasing Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Wii U was probably a mistake, because it has meant that people will be overjoyed they can play it on the Wii U. My brother, for one, is playing Zelda on the Wii U, but I think it has hampered the push out that this is any more than a Zelda machine, because other people, someone at work bought my Wii U off me so they could play Zelda, and surely that's not good for Nintendo's bottom line at that point.
No. There's only idiots like me that sold their Wii U and now, because to get the Switch, then decided not to get the Switch, and now they can't play Zelda.
The Switch should be the only place that
it should be an exclusive
play Zelda. It should be a complete exclusive. It's like Horizon Zero Dawn for the PlayStation 4. It's like Gears of War on Xbox. You know, it's that one place. And I think you're totally right, James. I think when you go in and you want to play this 10 out of 10 game, because some people, they don't care about the difference between 720p and 900 to 1080p. They don't care about that. They just want to play this game. And you're right, this should be the only place that you can buy it.
And this is not me saying it as an elitist. This is me saying it as the best strategy that Nintendo could have had. And I think it's only because they have, I do think, let down their fans on the Wii U to a certain degree over the last few years. With the Wii U is still a good platform. It has had good games on it, and I think it has had a fair, strike ratio with those hits. I don't think it's... time will tell that obviously that it has sunk because no one wanted to buy it, but actually there has been some quality stuff on there. But in the last 18 months, that has been lacking, and I think the fact they've kept Zelda on there is almost a thank you to those people who just hung on by their fingernails, clamouring for just one last hurrah for that system. But, okay, so let's put that to one side. So Zelda, I was a little worried when I started hearing all this hype, because I've been trying to stay away from all the previews and the reviews in the last few weeks or so. I think the last time I really paid attention was at possibly E3 or the Nintendo events a couple of months ago, just to get an update to hear that it was still on track. And so I'd heard that it was open world, I heard that it was different, but I hadn't quite expected how different it would be, because I think Zelda gets a lot of stick for just being that same thing for years and years and years. And it pretty much has been. It has been a template that might have evolved depending on what platform it's been on. So obviously the SNES was 2D and Ocarina of Time was amazing because it went 3D. But there's still very much that structure that you started to see break down with A Link Between Worlds. It went from this linear path of, hey, you've now got a boomerang. Guess what all the puzzles are going to be like for the next temple? That's right, boomerang puzzles. They started to break that down with Link Between Worlds, where you could get any weapon, and it opened up the map really well. Like the first thing I did in that game was pretty much seek out all the rupees so I could treat it like an open world, so I could feel like I could go anywhere and explore anything without having to try and get that frustration going, oh, I can't get in here, I can't get in here. And I think the thing that Zelda Breath of the Wild does so well is just take that and run with it. It gives you everything you need within the first couple of hours. And that's not to say it's like the usual Zelda where it gives you a tutorial for 2 hours. It pretty much just does a 10-minute opening scene, tells you a couple of buttons, and then lets you get on with it. And over the first couple of hours, you discover everything you need, but it's in a nice compact environment, whilst also seemingly really open to exploration. It's a real... They've walked a real knife edge of trying to just get both of those qualities in that. And it's superb, because you then suddenly are given this tool set and realise the world is 20 times larger than this open area, which seemed vast.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, but so I think Antony discussed before. We will say what the opening powers are, because it helps the rest of this discussion come along a lot easier. So if you really don't want any spoilers, then we will try and put some notes in the release to say when you should skip forward to. But this is going to be a long one. So in the first opening area, you discover that you have effectively an iPad. Link has got an iPad attached to his hip, and with that you can get a number of powers. This iPad can effectively summon bombs, which are a Zelda staple. You can control time, which sounds a bit like the Ocarina, but this way you can focus and stop one specific object, be it like a rock or a cog. And you can also freeze freeze water to create a column out of nowhere, which can be good for scaling items like that. And also one other thing, you can almost kinetically drag metal objects up and out, so you can effectively lift a metal block from the water and fly it over and dump it on some baddies that are nearby. So between that, bombs, ice towers.
I haven't tried that. That sounds really good fun. I've just used it. I've used it as a bridge, to kind of get across a river or something like that. There's like, there's a big door there. I can pick that up. I have to try that. Throw it on.
But this is it. Like with those powers, instantly, you've done that. I haven't really used bridges like that. I've probably created like ice bridges and stuff like that rather than the metal ones. But the first time you realise you have this freedom. Zelda has turned into a sandbox game where you can approach a combat in ways that I still associate with Halo, because Halo, when you attack an area, it's all down to what weapons you've got. And so if you take in a needler and a sniper rifle, you will approach that very differently than if you have an assault rifle and a pistol. And the same with Zelda. If you see an area with metal boxes, you know that you can either maybe you can move them around for cover or slam them down on enemies. Or if they're on a slope, maybe you can drop a bomb and let it roll into the midst of their group and then detonate it. It's just a joyful physics sandbox that it's turned into.
It really is, and Link as well can just scale anything. He just kind of just scurries up any kind of wall or cliff or tower. But obviously you have to, because the moment you start doing that, his tiredness, so you get a meter that then starts to drain. And if you're still in the middle of a cliff when that drains, you just drop and drop to your death, as I've found quite a few times.
It's a harsh learning curve.
It really is. It really is. But yeah, and I love that. I love that I could just kind of get to something, and I was like, I need to go up there, and I just kind of scurried up there, and I was just, this is fantastic, this is great, with it's picking off apples from a tree. I must admit, one of the first things that really made me chuckle when I was playing on the train, I picked up an axe, and there was a tree with apples, and I was like, right, okay, I need to collect those, so I just chopped the tree down, and it fell, and it just came down, and I was like, I'm a bit of a terrorist in Hyrule, and I was very concerned that I took this really big tree, and because most games you would just do that, they wouldn't allow you to take the big trees, it would only be the little ones, but I just took this tree down and then took my apples and took a couple of branches and off I scurried. But it was just absolutely fantastic.
I think what they've basically tried to do in this world, the fact you can climb anywhere. There are certain walls, say in certain mini dungeons or certain areas you can't, just for the sake of a puzzle. But for the open world, you can climb anywhere, you can go anywhere, you can pretty much blow up every tree in the place if you wanted. There's just an openness. It seems like the designers just wanted to say yes to everything, and it's very, very rare that you will actually find you can't do what you think you can do. There's some very simple rules, like wood burns, and so you can, if there's like spikes around an area you want to go, burn it. If there's a platform that's holding a treasure chest above it that's made of wood, burn it. And it's just a simple set of rules they have just scattered throughout.
Yeah. You sound like a little pyromaniac. It's like, I'm going to burn it all.
Apart from if it's raining. That's why my brother and I were like, why can't we? Because we started on Friday night pretty much at the same time. Right. And we were having the WhatsApp conversation, like, I'm trying to burn some thorns to get somewhere, and it won't work. And we just didn't know what happened. It was raining. So it was raining, so you couldn't set things on fire. It's like, this is
That's
adorable. Just a lovely little touch there.
Yes. Indeed, and I just, it's everything about this game is just, and I must admit, and nothing against Horizon Zero Dawn, but I played Horizon because I ran my Switch battery out, and I needed to just charge, and Nicola was on the big TV, so I played Horizon Zero Dawn for a little while, and I was just like, the day before I was like, I love Horizon Zero Dawn, and then now I was like, I want to play Nintendo, I want to play Zelda again, because there's something that's very fun about this, where Horizon Zero Dawn is very serious, and it's amazing. amazing. But this is kind of, it's very fun. It just really does it. And that's why I keep saying kind of like, welcome back Nintendo. And I know it may be premature, but just playing this game just kind of makes me, it harks back to those days of Ocarina of Time, of Wind Waker. And I'm getting all of that and then some, and then the modern game as well. As you're saying, this is just a complete physics sandbox that I'm playing, and the map is ginormous. And when every now and then you come across a tower, which you then have to then scale the tower again, taking your time because you will run out of energy, and then you get to the top, and then that opens up that area of the map. And I think I've done this twice or three times, and every time I do it, I'm just like, wow, this is like, there's so much more for me to discover.
The world is huge, and I think you're right, though, say that Nintendo is back in a certain respect because they've actually caught up with what's been happening in adventure games for the last 10 years.
Yes.
I think, drawing from the likes of, I would say like the likes of Tomb Raider, the recent reboot as well, or maybe Uncharted. They've drawn from the likes of, Far Cry, but in all very different ways and put their own Nintendo spin on it. So like, the world is open and it looks empty for the most part, but they are very Nintendo and hiding little puzzles or little secrets here or there. There's lots of discoverables, be it chests, be it their equivalent of collectibles, be it secret mini dungeons that they call shrines. There's just a lot of stuff that if you look close enough, you will probably find the entire world is scattered with them. But if you just run through, you will more than likely miss a lot of them. So it's great for allowing you to just book it. If you need to get from one place to another, you can just book it and ignore it because there's no big distractions. Maybe you might pass the odd mogoblin outpost or something like that, but then if you want to spend your time, you can start looking and seeing like, well, those rocks look like they're placed in a weird pattern, maybe that means something, and you'll start recognizing patterns in the world at that point. And the more I've looked, the more I adore the fact that you just see certain tells that a puzzle is close by, be it like a little tune in the sky or an arrangement in the environment, and so it turns this sparse landscape into something that is just a giant puzzle in of itself. You're looking for the cues, and then you throw in things like the physics of the bombs and the magnets and the water, and it gives it almost this, and I'll credit friend of the show Matt with this. My brother said it feels like Portal in stages, where there are points where you either reach a place that you're trying to figure out, how do you get from A to B, how do you get up there, how do I get down there, how do I unlock that, and you feel like you're cheating. Like there's some ways that you feel like they surely don't mean for me to do this. And you used a combination of tools. Like you said, like you used the magnet to create a bridge out of the metal, whereas you might have used the ice, or I might have, frozen time, stood on a brick, hit it, and then watched as time catches up with it and it hurls itself across. It's like, okay, this is cool. This is me playing and me solving these puzzles with play. And it has got that Portal vibe about it, that you are just discovering, not going through a set of steps that just means A to B to C and you've solved it.
Yes. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think that's it. I mean, it is quite interesting where kind of you and I had a quick conversation, and I was saying, I'm down here and I've done this, and do I need to do this? And you're like, haven't even got there because you went the other way, and it's kind of, it must be me being a lefty, because I think we did the same thing with The Witness. You went right and I went off to the left.
I almost did the Fallout thing though. I came out of the vault, for want of a better word. Actually, it is a bit of a vault. Came out of the vaults and then just went, right, I'm going this way, and just turned to my right and just hooned off into the distance. So, yeah, objective marker one way, me the other.
Yeah, exactly. And it's quite interesting because I do think that, and again, we were going to have a conversation, but I do think I've kind of gone too far too quickly, and I think I've just kind of gone to an area and I just kept going, and I was very interested in that area, so I just kept going, and I do think that maybe I've gone too far, and I've gone too far too quickly, so I do need to kind of bring myself back and just make sure that I'm kind of doing things in the right location. But I've just got, okay, I'm going to go over there now to an area that I've already discovered, but there's a flashing symbol because, again, quests, and the one thing that I always found that with open world games that do overwhelm me, like The Witcher. Horizon wasn't doing it, but The Witcher and Skyrim to a point was also doing it. Is that once you get a couple of main quests and you think, oh, this is great, and then suddenly it's like, here's a side quest, here's a side quest, here's a side quest, and I get overwhelmed by it because there's just too many side quests. And at the moment, I'm finding that Zelda is really kind of just keeping those quite lean. I've got 2 or 3 side quests and I've got 3 things on my main quest, and that's it. And that's keeping me very happy because I know what I need to do, and I'm happy at that level because I'm not being overwhelmed at all by it. I mean, one of the side quests that I've got at the moment is that you do come across, I don't know if you've come across it, but there's a chap with maracas.
Oh yes.
And it's just even that bit was just like, when you visit, it's just, that was incredible. And you come across it, and then you have to then collect things which then give you more inventory slots. And I'm just enjoying finding those puzzles.
Yeah.
And I'm just enjoying kind of going around and go, well, I wonder if there's something here, or what can I see over there? And it's just that, and just that puzzle is just a joy to play, and that on its own is just a joy to play.
Yeah. But linking back to what you said about not being overwhelmed as well, because I don't know how, if Darren, if I pitched to you that in an open world game you would have a blank map, like if you went up to the equivalent of a Far Cry or an Assassin's Creed tower and discovered an area and it filled in nothing but the terrain, like no mini side quests, no objectives, nothing, it just gave you the map, how would you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, is that what it does in Zelda then?
Yeah. It literally, like, if you go up to the top of a tower, you discover the area, so you get to see like where the lakes are, where the forest is.
But you don't get it littered with little icons.
Not at all.
I think it'd be a refreshing change, and I suppose it would fuel that wanderlust and that yearning for discovery, wouldn't it? Rather than thinking, oh well, I'll just go here.
Yeah.
Because you can. I do feel this sometimes in open world games, especially. Sometimes I start to think that it's every game where it's just basically follow the marker. About halfway through GTA 5, I remember it basically is just follow the marker. Watch a cutscene, reach the marker. So it is quite nice to take that away and re-energise or re-gift the gamer with that ability to discover. And it's kind of hand-holding, isn't it? To have that. It's like, this will be here. So I like that, and it makes you feel. It makes you feel like you're discovering, and it puts me in mind of gamers that I've talked to, and I don't really do this, though. I don't know why. I just haven't had the courage. But they will turn all of the HUD off, the compass and everything in an open world game, if they can, if there's the options available. Like in The Witcher, there was a guy, and he said, I just turn everything off so that I start to recognise the actual land. And I was just kind of like, wow, because I'll start to recognise routes from going backwards and forwards following markers. But to take the markers off and just sort of navigate, with a quick glimpse at the map maybe and see a castle in the distance, that's kind of always... It's been too much for me to take on, even though I kind of would like to play that way. I feel that would be an amazing way to play because it's like you're recognising and enjoying the world as it should be without that augmented overlay. So I like that idea, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It just does enhance that sense of discovery because all you do is wonder what's there, wonder what.
As long as there's stuff there, though, as long as there is stuff there, and it would be pretty bad in a game that did that, but there was nothing, and you're just sort of stumping along.
It's funny you say that because I did on Sunday night. I did have a 2-hour stint where I pretty much found nothing.
Then you understand why they're there, because you want a helpful nudge in the right direction, because we don't want it to get boring. That's what markers started off being, I think, on maps. But with Assassin's Creed games and that sort of Ubisoft trend that seems to be now, that's the rule, of littering the whole map with side quests and icons and towers and what have you. It didn't used to be like that, did it? But it kind of got lost, I think, somewhere, because I think way back when it was there, like you're saying, to help you not get bored. It's like, hold on, then we need to give some direction, and so we will give direction where needed. Then it got completely spiraled out of control to the whole map, just as if some like icon monster had thrown up all over the map. And now Zelda seems to. It's like they've had a chat and thought, let's get away from that. But back to your point.
Yeah, so the nice thing I find as well, though, is what actually enhances the want and need for discovery is the fact that you can actually set your own icons down on the map after you've been there. And so you can mark, if there's shrines, you can mark if there's... Actually, there's a whole load of mini icons. My entire map is basically covered with indicators of where I can cook food.
Right.
And I find that the most important thing, so you can brew your own potions in this one by basically, you can go and hunt fish out of the river, you can go and hunt boar that are wandering around, then you can pick up some herbs, some mushrooms, and munge it all together in a pot, and you create a stew, which is basically your health potion. And so my entire thing is like a culinary guide to Hyrule. You just go through like the mountain passes and the valleys. Yes. Although I wouldn't want to try some of the stuff I've cooked. If you cook something particularly bad, it will pixelate the food out on the plate.
Yeah, it comes up with a dubious concoction.
Yeah,
I did mushrooms, Hyrule herbs, and a talon just to kind of see what happens, and it did that. It pixelated the plate and said, "You have brewed a dubious concoction." I still ate it though.
May as well. Does the game? Do you have hunger? So if you don't eat, does your health tick down?
No, it's purely it hasn't gone quite that hardcore, but yeah, it's purely for health. But you can create potions with certain buffs, be it extra hearts or maybe extra stamina,
frost resist and things like that.
Yeah, fire resist, cold resist. So
exactly, if you're in a cold area, you can basically just cook a couple of chilies, and then you have like a chili. I think it's called steamed chilies or grilled chilies, and then you can take those and eat that before you go into the ice area, and then you have 5 minutes, because once that kind of wears out, you start losing a quarter of a heart every now and then, just because of the cold. So and that works really well.
Is that found through discovery, or do you chat to somebody who says, "Oh, by the way, you can do this"?
Early on, there's quests that basically hint that you need to find out a way of warming up, and I think it even shows like some of the early design decisions that will then span across the entire game, because it gives you the option of like you could go and find some warm clothing, you could find a fire, you could try and cook something that will warm you up, and so it basically gives you the heavy hint that there is a recipe that will warm you up. And so once you find that out, then you just start throwing everything into a pot, because every time you capture something like you can pick up grasshoppers and it'll say, oh, if you put these into a stew with so-and-so, then you'll get a certain benefit. So it gives you hints even on the menu that you could try and do something, but it won't tell you what the stew is. It'll allow you to put different meats together, put different insects together and monster parts together, and different things will produce different results, be it, this just ticks by, this will give you 60 seconds worth of heat boost, or this will fully restore all your hearts and give you 20 minutes of heat boost. Those it depends what you put in and in what quantity.
Brilliant, I love it.
Yeah, it's I spent so much time cooking in early days just to try and play with what I can create.
Yeah, absolutely. I did the same. And the moment I kind of realised that because you go into the menu, all of the stuff you've been collecting, you hold it, and then you come back out to the game, and then you're over by a fire, and it just says cook, and you're like, yes, and it has that great animation. Yeah, it does. It just sounds so good. It just is so happy when you're cooking, and then you just kind of get your concoction, and it's just such a great game. Yeah. It really is. It's just such an awesome game and it's definitely just one of those that like I say, I'm enjoying my journeys. I'm enjoying delayed trains, so because I just want to keep playing this game.
So I've got. Oh, go on, Darren. Go on.
I was just going to say it's the necessary item for the British infrastructure.
Absolutely, yeah. They should give them out on southern trains.
Yeah, damn right they should,
to keep people happy.
Do you know the thing that drives me forward though, Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
Shrines.
Right.
Shrines, I think, are the best thing that's happened to the actual core concept of Zelda for a long time, because so shrines are effectively mini dungeons. Like dungeons in previous Zeldas, you've had these 8 huge behemoths giant things that I say, there's always one based around a boomerang. But shrines are effectively like the tombs or the puzzle rooms that you find in Tomb Raider. These are the puzzles that you'd find in Portal. These are condensed things that you can do within about 10-15 minutes for the most part. But it just means the designers get to play. Like with the overarching dungeons, and there are still some in there, do not worry, Zelda fans, but these shrines basically allow them to just try out little concepts, little one-shots that don't need to be melded into the rest of a dungeon, and you can see them gleefully just trying things. I mean, some you'll get that are ridiculously easy or just not pass mustard, but others you'll just be sit there grinning that you have figured something out using the different powers of time manipulation and magnets and bombs. It's I think they are wonderful, and I love searching the countryside just for the hope that I can try and find another one.
Absolutely, that's it. When you unlock a tower, you can then stand at the tower and you can scan the environment. And every now and then, the shrines they're orange when they're undiscovered, and you can just see the dome just pointing out, just sticking out from maybe behind a forest or just in the distance. And then you can then just stick an indicator there, so you know that one is there. And that's what I've been doing a lot of at the moment.
Yeah.
I've just been going to those, unlocking that. And you're right, there are some shrines where there was one that was to do with wind, and that took me a while just to try and work out, because what I was doing first was like, no, that's not working, what am I doing wrong? And I just kind of had a look around, and Nicola was sitting next to me, and she was going, oh, try this and try that, and then we unlocked that, and that was just kind of, like you say, it always feels, again, it's kind of down to that kind of witness, it's down to that kind of minute puzzle solving that just really kind of makes you feel very clever. And then you kind of come out of the shrine, and then that's a waypoint then that you can then fast travel to around the map as well. So that works really well as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Although, I mean, trying to balance things out somewhat, I think the game looks very stylistic, and I think it looks very beautiful in places. But I've also seen a few spots that it looks very ugly. I sometimes think that this game has tried to push new hardware far beyond what it can cope with, because it's been very well documented. This thing can chug at 20 frames a second. If you get into, say, if you're in a forest with a bit of a draw distance in the background and it's raining and there's a bit of mist, then God help you, that's going to slow down to an utter crawl. And there's also been places where, like, I just stand out looking on a relatively flat piece of land, and it looks like a PS3 game, or like just a very flat textured. They've run out of polygons, and it just looks a bit bland. It can go from looking stunning to ugly in just the swipe of a camera, in my mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was by an oasis last night, and that was just absolutely stunning. That was breathtaking. Yeah. And I was like, share, take a picture of that. Yeah. That was, and then you're right. Then you do go kind of, you turn around, and then suddenly it's like, well, I want to look back over there because it's so much prettier. But
some of the characters, I think the character design and the way they've done the cell shading, I think hides a multitude of sins. So I think they've done well with that sort of Studio Ghibli style. But it does make me wonder whether the actual were they pushing Zelda too hard, or is the Switch slightly underbaked in terms of performance? Because if this is what they're going to do for their first one out the gate, and sacrifice frame rate for draw distance, and 1,000 blades of grass, is this a good sign for the future? I mean, hopefully it just means they'll optimize as iterations go on, and things will get better. But I just worry this is the showcase that they're willing to put out first off.
So, what has Matt said anything about how it looks on the Wii U? Has he kind of does he have the same kind of sins are being shown when you're kind of turning at camera angles and frame rates are dropping? Is he getting that? Because that must be pushing the Wii U quite hard as well, or maybe they're the same thing under the bonnet, but it must be pushing it quite hard as well.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's pretty much trying to do what it's doing at 720 for us. We're doing at 900 effectively, but which I guess is good and bad, because it shows that they haven't been restricted on the Switch to satisfy the Wii U audience. They're willing to let those go. Those quality controls slide slightly for the Wii U, but again, it's not the greatest advert for the improved experience on the Switch.
Yeah, no, indeed. But I just, I don't want to start talking Game of the Year. But at the moment,
let's see. I'm having a tremendous amount of fun with it. But let's hold off hyperbole.
So is there anything else? I think that's probably it. I think I
just want to share my favourite combat experience. I just wanted to say that because I'm having an absolute blast, and as I say, the sandbox style. Like I was sneaking up on a group of macablins. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. So the little gribblers that run around.
Yes.
I snuck up on their camp, and I was up on the top of a hill, and I got one of the round bombs. And just lay at my feet and watch the hill just take it down to them. Like, think I'm just going to detonate in the middle. I'm just going to detonate it in the middle of their camp. Except the wind caught up and blew it off to one side. And just before it disappeared off the edge of the precipice that was right next to their camp, I exploded it. And it didn't do enough damage to, like, hurting the creatures. But it did make such a noise that they all started going round to explore what was going on. Which allowed me to like run down the slope and sneak back round behind them and effectively sort of assassinate one of them while the others were distracted. I then hid behind a metal box, used my metallic power to then sort of grab the box, and while they were still distracted, just shunted the box forwards and bunted one off the cliff face. And so, like, the chap pretty much turned around and go, like, once there were 4, and then there were 2 of them, and so they just started running around, and they run around the camp. If they don't know you're coming, they will run around the camp and pick up weapons. And so you saw them just, like, panically look at you, stare, and then try to get their weapons in time. I managed to get one before they got to the weapons, but then the other one just was infuriated. So, but it was just the fact that you could do so many different things in one little style sandbox.
And I think one of the wonderful things about that is that once you've killed them, especially when the skeletons appear at midnight, you can then, their arms are weapons as well, aren't they? And there is the big skeleton who has a ginormous arm. So at the moment, I'm walking around Hyrule with this arm strapped to my back, clattering away because it doesn't stop moving. The hand and you can just hear it kind of making a noise as you're walking around. But it's so good just to kind of like beat one of these down and then just grab the arm and beat the others with it. You know, it's such a, I love that you can just kind of pick up these things and that's your weapon now.
So in short, Darren, it's okay.
It's all right. Yeah, it's
good. They'll get it right eventually. It's their first try. It's fine.
Wow. No, it sounds amazing. It just sounds amazing, and that's what pulled me and called me towards almost getting one, but I don't know how I did it. And you guys waxing lyrical does not help the situation.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I've got a few questions about the hardware I want to run through.
Yeah,
if that's okay. No analog sticks. Do you think it doesn't matter, does it really, on a mobile console?
Nope.
You miss them, James?
Analog sticks.
Analog triggers. Silly me.
Oh, triggers. I'm disappointed there's not analog triggers because I almost, there's selfish part of the going, I just wonder if that means they're not going to do a GameCube virtual console, because I can't see how that would work without them.
No Rogue Leader.
Yeah. So, I was disappointed. I don't think it's going to affect it long term. But
okay, cool. And I didn't know this, but it's a plastic screen. I thought it was glass. I was expecting glass, but it's plastic apparently.
I'm just going.
How does it?
Oh yeah.
How does it feel? Because there's a lot of people saying, this is premium. This is like proper premium piece of tech.
Yeah.
And then I discovered it was plastic, which disappointed a few people.
I didn't even
you
know.
Guys have got one. What do you think? If you've not even noticed, I suppose it doesn't matter.
No,
I didn't even know until I heard James's tap. Then I didn't even know, and I've touched it because it's a touchscreen as well. And the touchscreen kind of works just as well. And no, I didn't even know that it was plastic.
Okay, kickstand's supposed to be a little bit flimsy.
It's rubbish.
Yes, it's rubbish. It's scary. I put this thing down because I was just showing Nicola on Friday, and I showed her what because she was like, okay, this is great, but I'd rather play with the joypad. And so I kind of did the joypad and I just put it down on the sofa with the kickstand out, and I was worried the entire time. I had my hand because I was worried that it would just break underneath the pressure. So the kickstand, and I'm a bit worried about how, because my original plan was that I would take my Pro Controller on the road with me when I go to like Manchester or whatever, and I was just going to flip out the kickstand and put it on the table of the train, but I'm worried about the movement of the train would just fall over.
Yeah, so at the weekend I basically had it while Ali was watching stuff on the big telly. I did have it like on a lap tray in front of me just to try it, and I think because the kickstand is also off to the right, so it's not even centred.
No.
And there were times where I did like fidget when I was with it on my lap and did feel it wobble. Like it fell over at least once on that, so I have no confidence in this thing at all.
That's the mystery, isn't it? The placement at the centre would surely have been better.
Two would have been better, I think.
One on each side.
Two would have been better,
one on
because at
each
least
side.
I can understand why it's not in the centre, because that's where like the charging point is, because that would make it easier to just drop in the dock. But yeah, just two or something slightly wider, just to try and balance it out.
Because you could just have two thin sticks at each side.
Yeah.
Quite strong, but they wouldn't have to be as wide as the kickstand. If you had two, one on each side, they just flipped out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's true. It's a bit flimsy, is it?
Absolutely. I'm hoping someone comes out with a bit of an accessory that is almost like a little bit of a dock, like a robust dock that you could just kind of stick it into and then play it on. Because, like I say, that's how I always kind of wanted it. Was just like my Pro controller or the normal controller, and then just kind of play that on the train. So I'm really missing that because when I go on holiday and I want to play that on the fly, I'm worried about kind of like having that on the tray of on the aeroplane. So it is a bit of a worry.
Just another excuse for another 4K telly, Anthony. That's all it is. It's
Well, it's a good excuse to buy another peripheral.
Yes,
another accessory. And if they do bring out this dock as well, if they do bring one out, it needs to allow it to be set in different positions.
Yes.
The default for the kickstand, wherever it is, and obviously I don't exactly know, but I imagine it won't. It's not every situation setting. Sometimes you can run it lower, and I discovered that using my iPad on the train and in the car, and here and there. And sometimes you want it to be low, sometimes you want it to be more vertical.
Yeah. It's one of my favourite thing about my Surface 4. It's got one of the stands at the back that come out, and it's just a metal sheet across the entire back. But it doesn't have like set places. It's just completely analog all the way round to like almost 180 degrees.
Wow!
But it just means that no matter what angle you're sitting at, no matter where your table is, you can get the flat on to your face. So I hope there's almost an accessory that just is a click onto the back and has that nice metal solid analog stand.
Yeah,
so
we shall sure get that.
Where my London office at work, we have these little kind of stands for iPad minis. So all of our conference rooms have like the iPad minis, so you can control the TV and stuff. And each one of those has a little kind of charging stand that's in the middle of the table, and that allows you to move the angle. And I was just thinking one of those would be fantastic, and then it could connect via USB-C, to kind of almost click it into that dock, and it doesn't need to charge it. But then that would be quite a secure way to just kind of hold that switch in place.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. And the other thing that sort of links to that is the fact, and this I was very shocked and surprised about, when you're playing in kickstand mode, because I see if I would have had this, I'd want to play it on the train, and I wouldn't always want it in my hand. I'd want to put it on the little table and sit back with a Joy-Con in each hand and play it like that, relaxed. Now that's fine, and I'm sure that works very well. Well, if the kickstand was resilient, it'd work better. But what I'm hearing is because of the position of the power, the charging point, you could not have it in kickstand mode at a party or whatever on low battery, because you can't charge it because the power unit is on the bottom. So you can't actually plug it in to power it up and have it in table mode or whatever it's called. Can you? You couldn't charge it on the table with the kickstand down.
I will give them this, because the actual ease of just sliding the thing into the dock to charge or to put on the telly, I think is a far greater one than actually trying to charge it on the go. So I think just that ease of sliding it in and knowing that thing is going to get powered at the bottom. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. But given...
It is, because you're at a party, the party's gone on for 2.5 hours, everybody's enjoying it, the battery's going dead, they've advertised it as a thing you can take and play in the park.
We're talking edge case. I think when we get to this stage, it's like we're looking to pick faults. I think, it is unfortunate, but
it's a massive design flaw. They should have.
It's not a massive design, because you actually get to slide. I think that it'll be more of a design flaw if you then had to sort of like turn it upside down.
You don't want to take it home and put it in the dock at home, do you? When you're out and about, the idea is just a portable console that you can all be playing 1-2 Switch in a party with. Now, you can't expect everyone to have a Nintendo dock, and when it's docked, yeah, you could play it on the TV, but the idea was on the initial trailer that you can play it out and about
and
in the table mode.
You can.
Oh, yeah, for as long as the battery allows.
But that's like saying,
which is not very long.
I think we're honestly picking holes here at this point. This is extreme. Like, do you know what? We played 1-2 Switch for 5 hours, and 5 hours isn't enough. I can assure you, 5 hours will be quite enough for 1-2 Switch.
Yes.
Did it last for 5 hours on 1-2 Switch?
Last
I'm just saying, it's a lot of reports being upset with this situation. It's not just me.
I think a bigger flaw, the only flaw that I kind of see, I think the bigger flaw is that there's no Bluetooth connectivity to it. So
whereas the Joy-Cons connect by Bluetooth, don't they? Yet they've left out the Bluetooth connectivity for headphones.
It's
proprietary, is it?
Yeah. So when I had my Bluetooth headphones, my wireless headphones on Friday, and I know it's a very first world problem, and I was like, okay, right. So I go to settings. Where's Bluetooth? And I was scrolling. I'm like, oh, there's no Bluetooth. And I was just like, this isn't right, and I have to kind of plug a wire from my wireless headphones into it, and that was
wise.
That was one thing that kind of was a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, it could have been a battery consideration, I was thinking.
Yes. Absolutely, and that's something where this thing's going to evolve. The same as we've seen with the Xbox and the PlayStation and the iPad, and this is going to evolve, and it will change, and the operating system will change, and I'm sure things like that will come in. But you're right, Darren. There's a trade-off. If you want all of that, if I want Bluetooth headphones, then maybe I'm going to have to lose half an hour of my battery life, or I just stick it into my little battery pack. But you're right, and maybe they've done this as a more vanilla, so you get that and you get used to that kind of battery life, and but that was kind of my only gripe that I had. I was like, oh, I didn't like that, because you're used to just seeing things with that kind of Bluetooth connectivity.
Yeah, one more warning I saw, probably not for us guys, but maybe if kids are doing this, there's a wristband accessory, and apparently you can put it in the wrong way onto the Joy-Con. And if you do, you can't sort of you can't get it out very easily.
That sends shivers up my spine, because those little wrist strap accessories are quite hard to get on, even if you put it on the right one.
Oh, right. I saw a few. It was like a compilation of people that had done it wrong, and the guy was trying to get it off with his thumb. He nearly pulled his nail off. And they're having to take tools to it, which you don't want to do. You need a lovely piece of kit. So it's just be careful. There's a right and wrong way to do it. Don't just get it out of the box and shove it on. Just make sure you do it on the right way, because otherwise it gets stuck. And I think it renders the Joy-Con useless while that's on it, because it covers the buttons, I think.
No, it enhances the buttons for so say for instance, if we were playing Mario Kart and we were doing split screen on my Switch, then I get it just because the buttons on the little Joy-Con are quite kind of like almost inside. If it's the wrong way. If you jam it on the wrong way round. Oh right, yeah.
I see that it enhances the buttons if you put it on right, but if you put it on wrong and it jams until you get it off the Joy-Con, I don't think you can use the Joy-Con very well.
Yeah. Do you remember all of those images that everyone saw when the Wii came out, and there was all those joypads that were just embedded into TVs? It's just made me laugh. Where people, I remember the first time I got my parents playing the Wii, and we were living in a top floor apartment in the other side of Tunbridge Wells, and so my mum and dad came over, and they were like instantly just kind of thrilled by this thing. And my dad, when we were playing Wii bowling, he did a run up and then would drop to one knee. So he's just like, he kind of ran up to the TV and dropped to one knee in the living room. And so the next morning I had to apologise to the people underneath us. I was like, I'm really sorry about that. They were like, we had no idea what was happening. I was like, so yeah, I was very worried about my TV when I had my mum and dad play my Wii. So on that, should we jump into kind of maybe other things that we've been playing, if there are any other games? Darren, have you been playing anything else?
Well, I got Horizon the day after we spoke about it last week.
Yay!
Hooray! I think you said it all, Antony. We talked about it for a while last week. You gave a wonderful sort of review of the game, and it's as great and as beautiful and as wonderful as you say. It's difficult to follow anything really to follow anything with Zelda.
I'll tell you one thing from me. I mean, I played a little bit of Horizon, as I said, and I played Horizon on my normal TV, and I noticed, as good as, PlayStation Pro plugged into a normal TV, and the game looks stunning, looks gorgeous, but I could really tell that the HDR, that the extra, the 4K, had been stripped away from it, because it really looked, I really noticed for I've noticed it before on certain things, but playing it on the smaller TV and playing it without HDR, without 4K, I really noticed kind of how much they give to the game.
Wow, because on a smaller TV, you'd think you'd notice it less as well, because the pixels are more condensed. But no HDR as well?
Well, on the small TV at the moment that we've got, I've got no.
Oh, it's not an HDR TV.
No, it's not an HDR TV. So it does a little bit of. It does a little bit of tries to give it a little bit of oomph. So it runs at like 60 frames, 1080p. But I really noticed it almost makes it, with that comparison and having that instant comparison, it almost makes it look a little bit flat, but still stunning. Still gorgeous. But this was one of the first times, and this was one of the first titles that I really was like, wow, HDR and 4K really do, obviously they're not changing the gameplay, but they really do give the aesthetics a much needed oomph, which I absolutely love.
Wow, well, that's the difference of Pro. That makes it worth getting a Pro, doesn't it? You wouldn't want it just a little difference, because it's kind of why have I bothered spending 150 quid extra? I've noticed that it's one of the first or only titles that I've noticed it's making my PS4 Pro work hard, because it's the fans going for it. It's
really
getting hot in there. Yeah. I don't know if you've got the same, but yeah, I sort of think, what's that? And it's like it's whirring away. So
wow. No, yeah, I haven't noticed that. I mean, I've got a digital copy. I don't know if that maybe is the difference between that and a disc copy.
It could be. Maybe it's just the disc running round. Maybe it's just that. The console's far enough away from me that it doesn't really bother me, and I'd have to actually get up and go and listen to distinguish what it was, and that's not going to happen, is it? I'm sat there enjoying my game. So yeah, as I say, it's hard to follow Zelda, because first of all, Zelda sounds absolutely amazing. Secondly, Horizon Zero Dawn shares a lot of sort of ideas and gameplay, the premise of an open world game. So I don't want to blather on about it too much, because we covered it last week as well, but I'm loving the game. From the moment it started, I was just like, it did amaze me. I was just looking at the vistas and the characters. And later on, during the game, I'm actually finding that the facial animations of the characters and the graphics, the actual faces, it seems to have a bit of a Skyrim issue or a Fallout issue, in that compared to the world, the characters' faces they don't stand up, they don't hold up to the rest of the game that's in there, which is a little bit disappointing. But at the beginning, I didn't notice that so much. So maybe that pre-rendered intro, maybe that's slightly different. And now that's a while ago, so I can't quite remember.
Yeah. Is it Rost? Who is?
Yeah, Rost and Aloy.
Yeah, I thought
Aloy, sorry.
Yeah, I thought Rost was fantastic. I thought the facial capture and the mouth movements was outstanding. And you're right. I think, and I did. There was a podcast I was listening to. They were saying that the side quests, that the kind of facial animation gets a little bit ropey in the side quests. Maybe the main quests are better, but the side quests are definitely kind of a little bit ropey. Yeah,
I did feel I was a bit in Skyrim, in those points, sort of thing. And it doesn't detract from the game, of course, but it's just when something in its presentation is so stellar, you see it more. You see it more, don't you? It's sort of like, maybe the more pure the diamond, the more obviously the impurity within it is, sort of thing. It stands out more.
Absolutely. That's what I say to Nicola all the time about me.
That's how you won her over, is it?
Because I'm saying that. I mean, have you been playing it stealthy? Because when I jumped on Sunday, there was this area where, and again, I won't give any spoilers, but there was this area where you had to take out a whole load of guys were just there, and you could go, and I think there was a bonus side objective to just take out all of these big green barrels, or you could take it stealthy. And I just went round and hid in the long grass and silently just took every single one of them down. And they're quite funny. It's very Metal Gear Solid, because they're like, oh, something's happened over here. Then they instantly forget about it. They're like, oh, there's my colleague. He's dead. Right. Oh, it's sunny over there. And I'm just going to, they walk away. But I was going around this whole campus just taking out everybody in like really stealthy. And it felt gorgeous. It felt really good.
Yeah. I've done a mission like that, and I did take it stealthy. Inched around. For me, there was some hostages in the middle, and so I just inched my way around the camp, took everybody out, freed the hostages.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot of inspirations there. One minute I'm feeling it's Metal Gear Solid. The next minute I'm feeling that I'm playing very similar to The Witcher. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling very much Elder Scrolls vibes as well. And the good ones, not just the side quest faces. The discovery and the awe and wonder as you sort of go around the world. I love that I find that it's taken the inspiration from these games, but they all work really well. It's sort of, it might not be an original concept, because it's picked and chosen some great mechanics from all different games and mashed them in. But Guerrilla have managed to do each one so well. It's an absolute pleasure to experiment, experience, and play all the different systems that are available. So at the moment, I mean, I'm probably, I don't know how many hours I am now, but I've played it considerably now. I still feel that I'm learning. So what I've done, I advanced through the map so far, and the machines are now, they're all pretty solid. And I don't feel I'm good enough. So what I did is I fast travelled back to the beginning and thought I'll just inch my way back. But a little bit like we were talking about the icons, I turned all the quests off and just thought I'd roam about free and, hone my combat, start to understand more about how to play the game, and just enjoy it. Because I sort of, when I'm playing a game at first, I follow the story in a game like this until there's a point where I feel that I'm adept enough to go out on my own. So I don't go out on my own usually straight away. I follow the game and let the game show me the tips and what have you, until I feel, right, okay, I get this game now. Now it's time for me to take these tools that the game has given me, this experience and these tutorials, and go off and do my own thing. So that's what I decided to do. So I'm just exploring, wandering around, doing the odd side quest. The trouble is, the last side quest I took, I found it right in the beginning area. It was one of these quests where you got to find somebody or something or other. Who cares anyway? It's just a quest. But it's like, oh, you got to go to here, and then like that person said, oh yeah, the last time I saw him was here, and then you find out some tracks, and they took me to here. Basically, the flipping quest took me all the way back round to the hard bit that I was trying to get away from, and I was like, bloody heck, I wanted to just do some nice questing in the easy place, but I got myself sort of wrapped up because the side quests are a bit like The Witcher, The Witcher 3, and probably the other Witchers, but Witcher 3 is the one that I know the most. They do feel that they've got some substance there. They're not just throwaway side quests. So I was quite entertained with this off the beaten path side quest. So I've ended up back, sort of right round the map where all the monsters are hard, and I'm back at this crossroads again, and I still don't feel that I'm powerful enough, have learned the combat system well enough to take on these sort of big guys. So I'm going to adventure my way back and just carry on looking, exploring, and fighting. I love it. I love it that 1 minute I'm in discovery, 1 minute I'm in combat, 1 minute I'm in stealth.
Yes.
And you've got that choice between stealth and gung-ho. I never go in gung-ho, but when it happens, it's still enjoyable. I still really love it. I love how you slow down time to reload or recraft ammo. What I don't like, though, is when it's all kicking off, is that if you haven't used your focus power to sort of ascertain a machine's weaknesses, there's really no time to do that, because you can't freeze time and focus at the same time. So if you're set upon by a machine that you are not familiar with, then it's kind of like, whoa, you kind of have to back off, really. Otherwise, you could be wasting ammo, because you could be just firing arrows or bombs or whatever, but it could be resistant to them and you don't know. And I don't feel there's that much time to actually find out in the heat of battle, because you can't sort of bullet time it and scan it, and maybe that's good, because it might make it too easy. So it's not that bad. You just run away and sneak up and come back and look from a distance. And actually, as I say that, that's quite exciting. That's quite good to do because you retreat, you sort of come back to fight another day. And you've learned some lessons. You sneak up, watch it from a distance, have a look. Right, what's it? Okay, it's got a canister on its back, has it? Oh, right, and that's weak against shock. Right, okay, let's fire a shock bomb at it, and then that'll send off a massive explosion and freeze it. Then we can run in and try and do a critical hit, hoping that watchers in the area won't get alerted, or let's take them down first just to be sure. But if we're taking them.
Yeah, I was going to say that was going to be one of my questions to you. The watchers, when you come across into an area, do you take them out? Do you kind of go round taking all the watchers out first? Because this is one of the things that I was frozen and just kind of basically had 4 watchers, and I was just looking around. And I didn't know whether to take all of those out first because they alert everybody else, don't they? They scare everybody else, and then they come running at you. So, do you take those out first?
Yeah, if possible, yeah. Get rid of them. Survey the area. And, because the watchers will alert everybody in the area if they start squawking.
Yes, yes.
So it's like, if I can, watchers down, and then I'll have a look, because sometimes you'll get a grazer or something else that's sort of some sort of low-level machine, but that you can trigger a big explosion with. So I'll try and lure one of them maybe into the middle of a harder herd or near a harder machine and set that off with a flame on its flame canister, and then just wait, boom, and then that'll take, that'll affect. It might take some machines down completely, and it might take half off a big guy, and then sort of hopefully hide, transfer to some different snipey area, let them settle down, and then start again, picking off the big guy. That's what I do. So it's quite stealthy. But then if it all kicks off, it's a case of just running around hell for leather, loading my bow with like 3 hours at a time of hopefully the right combination of elements. Ping, 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 ping. Rolling, trying to anticipate the attack, rolling out of the way, and then if he does go down, trying to get in and actually, use your spear on him as well. But it gets quite heated in the battle. One thing that I wish there was. This is another game it reminds me of a little bit in snippets is Shadow of the Colossus, which is, for me, that's a great thing. Is when I'm running in Shadow of the Colossus, as you're running away from one of the colossi, you can't see it, but you could press a button like one of the shoulder buttons, and the camera would pan round, so you could carry on running, and it can pan round, so you'd see you running towards the camera, and it'd also show you the position of the enemy. I wish there was a button like that I could just, as I ran, because there's no lock on in the game, which is okay, and maybe it'd be too easy with a lock on, so I'm not that bothered about it. But it's hard to run away, dodge, roll, do everything, and be on that right stick positioning the camera as well at the same time. I do find that's like sort of just one thing too many to do, and I'd love just a button just to give me a rear view as I ran away, just so I could see.
Yes, and almost over the shoulder. There isn't any skills, because I know there's quite a lot of kind of creating, upgrading your skills and stuff like that. There isn't any skill there that will have a lock on or a backward look or anything like that.
No, there's some that offer you sort of a bullet time effect, and you can increase that and stuff, but nothing like that. I also like a little bit like Zelda, it offers you a storyline to follow, but also affords the player with if you've got the wanderlust, you've got the luxury of just adventuring around within the massive world. That's a great. I love that in a game. And it sounds like Zelda and this both share that. I also came across, I was questing away, and then on an offshoot, I noticed an icon that I hadn't noticed, didn't know what it was, I hadn't seen it before. I went into it, and this was a cauldron. Have you been into a cauldron yet?
No.
It wasn't really puzzly, so it was not like a Zelda temple, but this was a completely different area from the main game. Completely different environment. Sort of like, you ended up, it was almost like an alien architecture place. And once you got into it, Aloy said, I need to get to the core of this cauldron. And so it's not an actual pot or anything, it's a whole, it's like a dungeon. And you go in, and as I say, this was all kind of completely different from the prehistoric sort of grass and trees and all the rest of it. This was sort of futuristic alien architecture.
Wow.
And within there, I've only done one, and I'm presuming that there's others dotted around, but it was very much, there was a set path to get to the core, and there were strategically placed machines throughout, which were a real pain to get rid of. So it was like a challenge level, I suppose a bit like one of Tomb Raider's tombs. And when I got to the core of it, then it gave me a reward that's well worth having. In fact, I don't think it's a spoiler, really. It was that's the way that you get to override higher level machines.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was like, wow. And it said, yeah, now you can override some stuff I hadn't heard of, but a lance horn, a boar head, I think it was called. So basically you could override some more stuff, which means you can get them to fight for you, and some you can ride on as well. So I was like, that's pretty good. And that was good fun, and I'm hoping there's more of them, so I'm going to have a look for them. The tall neck encounters, I've really enjoyed.
Oh, yes. I had one of those on Sunday, and that was incredible.
Yeah, really good. And I've done 3 of those now. And what I've noticed, the first one was really enjoyable. The second 2, more, you think, because I saw one on the map and I went, classic, I can go and do another one of these tall necks. But little did I realise that it's not as simple as just climbing the tall necks. They purposely have put them in very difficult to get places. You think, how can it be in a difficult place? It's massive. It's got a massive long neck. How could it not be easy to get to? Well, the second one that I came across, I think the first one that you did will be the one I did too. The next one that I did was patrolling round within a lake. And in that lake, there was machines that were like crocodiles. They're called snapmaws.
Oh, okay.
And these were massive crocodile machines, and they're really hard. They're really scary. I was like, oh dear. The whole lake was like at about 4 or 5 in the path of where the tall net was. And to get on the tall net, you had to sort of go in the middle and find a place high enough to jump onto, those bars on its neck.
Yes.
But the island in the middle had a load of hard machines on it as well. So it was designed specifically to be a challenge. They're not going to let you just climb that tall neck. In Assassin's Creed, you find a tower, you just climb it, don't you?
Yes.
So I was kind of like, oh, right, I see. This isn't just a tower to climb. This is actually a challenge. I've got to work out how to get onto that tall net, because you can only do it from 1 or 2 places in this area. And they're being patrolled, and it was like, I liked that. I thought it was good.
That is really cool.
All of a sudden, there was another challenge opened up to me. I was like, right, that's my game. That's my mission for now.
That's me for this evening. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the tall neck. The first time I came across the tall neck, which is kind of, it came out of the mist, and it was just amazing. And kind of with the tall neck, and also with the Watchers, I'm getting strong Jurassic Park vibes, throughout the game, because
the Watchers are like those raptors, aren't they?
They are. They sound like them as well, don't they? When they're kind of communicating to each other, they have that raptor noise as well. And it's just, so with that and the first encounter of a tall neck, I think in my head was the Jurassic Park theme tune constantly when I was trying to take down that tall neck. It was absolutely superb.
Wow, but yeah, I'm really, really loving it. It's a great video game. I'm really loving it. And I'll tell you something else. I said that if I had a commute, I'd be buying a Switch. I think that Horizon Zero Dawn might have saved me from the Switch as well, because it offers a lot of what Zelda would have, what I would have got off Zelda. And if I didn't have an equivalent at home to play, Zelda would have been like, oh wow, open world game, best game ever, and I haven't got an open world game. So luckily Horizon sort of saved me a little bit, because it's scratching that open world itch, so it saved me a little bit from Zelda.
Excellent stuff. So we've got Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda 2. As we were saying earlier, this at the moment, March is absolutely packed with fantastic games. But
it's a great time to be a gamer.
Absolutely. Has anyone been playing anything else? I mean, for me, I had a quick go of Fast RMX. We've got Center Code for Fast RMX, which is, I think, Darren, you've played RMX before on the Wii U.
Oh yeah, it's Fast Racing Neo, which I presume is quite similar.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's it's the same game, but this is almost like a redux version, and looks absolutely stunning. It was really funny when I went to Manchester on Monday. I showed some of the guys the Switch, and I showed them Zelda, and they're like, "Wow, that looks great." And then I showed them Fast RMX, and they were blown away by how good this game looks, and it runs so fast. I mean, there really are some real wipeout moments where you are just going crazy round turns, and obviously you have to match as you're going around the course. There are blue areas and orange areas, and you have to change your colour of your vehicle to match, otherwise it will slow them down, or sometimes to make a jump. And I've only played about 2 championships, but this has online mode, it has championship, it has arcade, it has solo mode. There's lots of other features in it, and it's just such a fantastic game, and it looks incredible both in the Switch, like in handheld, and also in the big screen mode as well. So I hopefully I'll be playing a little bit more of that, but at the moment, like I say, whenever I fire up the Switch, I just want to play Zelda. So it's a shame that those other games that are not really kind of getting a look.
Well, I loved it on the Wii U. I remember I broadcasted it on the pod that it was a fine game. It was so fast, so beautiful. Really liked it. One thing though, it supported up to 4-player split screen. Now that on the Wii U, I don't think they should have included it because it chugged so much.
Wow.
I mean, people sometimes say, "Oh no, the frame rate's dipped," and it's dipped by like 2 frames at one point. It doesn't really matter. And sometimes I think that people get in a bit of a hoo-ha about frame rate when it isn't actually affecting gameplay. But on the Wii U, that in 4-player, it really was. It did affect the gameplay. It was difficult to play. So I don't know. Does it offer multiplayer on the Switch, or have they left it out? Is it just a single player racer now?
No, as I just said, there's multiplayer. There's championship, there's story, there's arcade, there's multiplayer as well.
Does it do local multiplayer though?
I don't.
You mean sort of like wrapping up the Wi-Fi between each of them, or? I don't know if any of them do that yet. I don't know if there's a connectivity for it, because I guess if they've got local multiplayer, they'll probably have online multiplayer. So it sounds like that might be coming later in the year.
Yes.
Well, I suppose we'll see. Just thought I'd mention that, because if it's got a split screen option, it was hard on the Wii U, but maybe it's more. I mean, that was a while ago. It's probably been optimised, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from the HZD, I've just been playing my boxing game and my squash game in VR. So I've been playing Thrill of the Fight and Racket NX again, which is good. And I'm not going to mention them again, because I'm just going to be playing them. I'm playing them every day from now on. So,
is that? Do you find there's enough there then that you want to get better at? It's good for a little short, sharp shock of them.
It's my new amazing VR training. So instead of going down the gym, I'm doing my boxing and my squash, my Racket NX. So that's what I'm doing. Actually, on Racket NX today, I became 54th on the leaderboard. When I started, I was about 400th, so I'm quite happy with that.
Working away.
There's a big gap now, because I'm at like 1,500 as a score and 54th. But then the next score is something like 4,000, and I'm like, it's going to be difficult to reach. But yeah, both of those games are really good. Thrill of the Fight, the boxing game, it's like being in Punch-Out, but it's like more real. It's really cool. And I went on the beta strand the other day, which offers not a lot more realism, but it's got some extra perks in it, such as it's got, what is it? Why was the reason I put that on? It's got more settings. It's got different difficulty modes, so you can select from easy and difficult and stuff. It's also got this mode where you can punch your opponent, and it tells you how many milliseconds in speed your punches are, so you can try and work on those. I'm hoping that it'll bring out things like different boxing training disciplines. Like that little, I don't know what they call it, that little bag that you punch in the air. I wouldn't mind that one. But yeah, that gets you tired. And then I play Racket NX after getting all tired with the boxing, because what I do is I play against I think there's 6 opponents at the moment. So I go through each of them, and then I'm like, take off my visor, wipe myself down, and then I go on to Racket NX, and it's still a bit active, but not as active as the boxing. And then I play a bit of Racket NX, bashing the old ball. How
do you find? Because I something I got during like Connect Sport and tennis and stuff like that is that if you're reacting against imaginary objects, that you tend to feel it more in your joints, because that energy isn't being released through like a punch bag or hitting a ball or something like that, so you're effectively just like whipping against the air. How do you find the punching just against thin air? Is it fine?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I suppose the best way to describe it would probably be to the person that looks at me looking like an absolute fool as I box away just in thin air. It's like shadow boxing, isn't it? I suppose.
I guess so. Yeah,
but no problems with the joints. I can actually believe it or not. I mean, so what's this? I've been doing it for just over a week, and I can actually feel a difference, like in my arms, my biceps. I can tell are a little bit changed, and my chest feels more toned, just slightly at the moment. So it's working. But what I really need is him to add more characters, or maybe I'll just have to do the 6 people twice. That's what I'll do.
Just keep you fresh and coming back.
Yeah, I'm basically doing this as a gym routine, and it's definitely more interesting than the gym. But today I was going through the 6 opponents, and I kind of did think, oh, this is the same old 6. But the beta strand that I've gone in, that's it. The AI does seem better, and so unlike just being on the cross trainer for half an hour or an hour, or any piece of equipment, whatever it is, these boxes are different every day. So I have it's a different workout, because sometimes they just don't go down. And I mean, I don't know anything about boxing. I just fess up. I don't know anything about boxing. I don't know anything about pretty much any sport. I don't know how to fight. I don't know anything about all this stuff. So I'm just sort of making it up. But I have sort of learned, to dodge back and stuff, and a little bit about jabbing and hooks through it. But it's different every day, because I don't know how it is, but whatever, it's not sort of a set routine the way that these boxers come at you. I can't just sort of go, oh yeah, he's going to, like Groundhog Day, go, yeah, it's a left dodge, it's a right. It's different every single day, so that's great. So yeah, I suppose I'll just have to, if I get used to it, I'll just have to do it twice. But this is is it a beta? It's an early access game anyway, so there's going to be more content added. So it's really good. Thrill of the fight. If you've got VR, if you've got Vive, and you want to work out, I think it could be on PSVR as well, because you could just. It's got an option actually for 180, where your sensor is 180 or 360. And to be honest, it's very rare that I'd circle around the opponent to have my back to one of the cameras. So I think that they could bring this out on PSVR, and you guys could be training as well. It's fun. It's fun, and it's a good workout.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah. So I'm not going to talk about those 2 games again, because that's it.
Sorry, drew you in.
It goes without saying that I'll be playing them. I might talk about them if I stop playing them, I'll mention it, because I'll have failed. And if I do stick with them, I might mention it in like 3 or 6 months or something like that, and just give you an update.
Awesome.
Cool.
Excellent stuff. James, Snipper Clips.
Yes, so Snipper Clips.
What's it like?
I thought I'd save it. This is another Switch game to finish how we started. So Snipper Clips attracted me from all the noise that it was a good co-op game. And so the basic principle is that you and whoever you are playing with, I've only ever played it co-op, I think there is competitive as well. So me and Ali, we're both tiny pieces of paper on screen, effectively the same shape as one of the Joy-Cons. So it was like almost square, but then rounded at one end. So rectangular and then rounded at one end. And there are basically a load of puzzles where you have to try and mask each other and cut shapes out of each other to do certain things. So if I went in front of Ali's character, and you can rotate yourself around to be different orientations, you can crouch or stand on your tiptoes to get different heights. And if you press a button, you can take the shape you are overlapping out of the other person, complete out of them. So you can turn them like into a point. You could narrow them down. You could make them with your rounded end, like turn them into a little basket if you want. And there are a load of little challenges about this, like, you have to either match the shape, or maybe you have to transport a basketball from one side of the screen to the other, and one person has to press the button and the ball drops down, the other person has to catch it, and then you have to walk it over and put it in a net. And it's just lots of little challenges, all based around, trying to get you two to cooperate and take chunks out of each other in a good way. It's good fun. It's good fun. We haven't spent a massive amount of time doing it. We've probably only done about 15 levels so far, but it seems quite moreish. It's definitely one of those, like, let's do 5 levels and move on or so. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's got a really nice, pleasant vibe to it.
So is it nice co-op, or is it overcooked co-op?
It's mostly nice co-op. I think there's still a certain amount of communication about where you what, because you have to stand in an orientation and your other player has to stand in an orientation, and so it's making sure that you're communicating about what is about to happen.
Right.
And so there has been a couple of times where it's basically descended into us running around the screen, trying to take chunks out of each other to effectively cut the other person away just nothing but a smile or something like that. So, but that's been few and far between. It's generally been nice. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to play more and give you a better description and overview next time. But yeah, if anyone's got, I think it's £15 and wants a co-op game, this one seems like it's got a lot of potential.
And there's also a demo as well, isn't there? There's
is there?
Clips.
I just went straight in and said, "Had my money."
Free demo.
Take it. Yeah, there's a free demo available right now on the Switch dashboard.
Do it, because it can probably explain it far better than I can.
Okay, I'll have a look at that and see if Nicola... So are you playing it with a Joy-Con each? Is that how you kind of control it? Is it?
Yes.
Do you have a Joy... Yeah.
Yeah, it did detach and a Joy-Con each at that point. So it's good to actually have a game that I'm because it feels alright. It feels alright to have one of those little controllers in your hand. So yeah.
Okay, snipper clips. I'll give that a go. I'll download the demo and have a look at that. So let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, it's quite quiet, really. I think everyone has just kind of jumped out of Nintendo's way. So we've got some few news items. Darren, first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Thank you, Antony. Yeah, this is just a quick Switch roundup. Should we have some more Switch chat? I will be as brief as I can be. So let's start with launch day. Launch day really had the usual. We expect this these days, don't we? It's no surprise that there were problems for people who'd pre-ordered on launch day. People waiting in, drumming their fingers, taking days off work, and unfortunately not getting the system that they wanted. Game was the first people to get the blame. With customers getting emails, not from Game themselves, but from DPD, the courier, saying, "We're really sorry, we would like to deliver your parcel today, but we can't until Game give us the parcel." So people were quite frustrated with that, obviously. Like, oh dear, it's launch day, and DPD haven't been given my Switch from Game. So that didn't go down very much. Game said they were doing their best to fulfill all the orders, and I think the final update with that was that they said that everybody would get them not that day but the day after.
Yeah, I got my Pro Controller on the Saturday from Game, so it was kind of, I know, not as good, not as bad as not getting a console on day one launch, but I had emails all the way up going, it's packing, it's going to be shipping, you'll get it on Friday, and then it never turns up on Friday, it turns up on Saturday.
Yeah, I'd be fuming it, if I'd taken the day off to wait for a launch console and it never arrived. I'd just be so sad, waiting at the window, a little bit like I was for Horizon Zero Dawn. James, did you pre-order or did you go out and just buy from a shop?
No, I pre-ordered. I was actually really paranoid about this, so I actually pre-ordered from two places. I pre-ordered from Game and Amazon, and I had to deal with a friend at work who wasn't overly concerned if it was a day or so late because he's just had a small child. So I basically said, whichever comes first is mine, whichever comes second is yours. Thankfully, they both turned up within like 25 minutes of each other, like between 9 and 10, so it was good. It was good.
Oh, brilliant.
That's just so funny because I have a box downstairs in my living room, which is an Amazon Switch. I did the same thing because I was convinced that Game wasn't going to kind of give me, kind of fulfill that order. So I actually pre-ordered on Amazon as well. So I've got to turn my back, so...
That's very noble of you.
Yes.
That is good. Yeah, that is really good. You could wait if they go out of stock, you could make yourself a little profit.
They're completely out of stock. You can't get them anywhere.
Wow.
Amazon are basically just like, you can order now and then they will fulfill the order, when I send my one back.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It wasn't just Game that were letting people down. Amazon let people down, and Nintendo's official store let people down as well. But apparently Nintendo's official UK store is run by the Zavvi Group, or the Hut Group, which sort of Zavvi are a part of, and Zavvi are known for not fulfilling orders on time. They've got a bad reputation that I've read of. So yeah, it's a shame. I tell you what, I would probably pre-order. No, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't pre-order, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't pre-order. I'd be too scared of it not turning up, so I'd have to just troll the shops.
But what happens if it's sold out completely?
I'd make sure I was at the shops in time, man. I'd have to, or I'd pre-order from a store. I'd pre-order from a store. That's what I'd do if I could, so I could go and pick it up myself. It's not so much about them running out of stock that I was worried about. It's just the weight, the massive amount of deliveries that would mess mine up for day one, from someone like Amazon. So I would pre-order it from maybe from Argos or something like that if they allowed pre-orders. I didn't look for the Switch, and then I would just go that day and pick it up, and I'd be happy. I mean, with my Wii, the original Wii, I knew there was going to be problems with that. And me and Claire formulated a plan, and I was like, right, let's not get it from Game because they're going to be swamped. And you know what? We got it from Dixon's.
Wow.
And I pre-ordered it from Dixon's in Croydon, right, months before it came out. And on the day, I think I was at work, so Claire had to go because she worked in Croydon at the time. Yeah, she was at the Croydon office. And I was in like Woking or something. And anyway, she went down and picked it up. Now, it was on the news. Can't get a Wii for love nor money. Game had sold out. Everywhere was sold out. When Claire went to Dixon's that morning, they had about 4 in. I think the staff might have had some of them. I think all of them were basically taken, except mine. Mine was the only pre-order that went actually to, a customer. And Claire said she was scared to death as she walked home with that in her bag. But that's what I'd do. I'd just pre-order it from a shop because I know what I'm like. I'd just be all day waiting for the post. And it's awful. It's awful. Anyway, so some people are upset, other people not so upset. The other thing is, be careful, guys. I'm seeing reports out there of people scratching their plastic screen by docking it too roughly in the dock.
So this actually was something I was a bit concerned when I first got out the dock itself, and a couple of people clocked at work, because it is nothing but plastic inside.
I thought it'd have some foam or something.
Yeah, because we've got boring detour, but we've got a table that's got a leaf, an extra leaf that slides out from underneath, so you can extend it. Even that's got a bit of velvet or some soft material to try and stop the scratches going on. It's like, this is something that is known about. This is something that people should be aware of. They're not sympathetic surfaces. So already there's a little chat going around, what's the best thing to put there? I think of just putting some fabric or maybe putting a lacquey band around it to make sure that it doesn't scratch directly. But
maybe trying to, if you can, intricately cut a small shred of duster or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But
just be careful.
I got with the case, I bought the official Nintendo case, and with that, it actually comes a screen protector.
Oh, I hate screen protectors.
But I was just about to say, I don't want to put it on because I've never had. I had a screen protector once on my iPhone, and I just hated it. There was a little bubble that always annoyed me, and I always think that it's just ruining the.
It takes away from the beauty, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It detracts from the beautiful.
It's horrible.
If you just get this one tiny bubble in it, and it just never. it just sends shivers at my spine even thinking
it feels
about
different.
Screen protection.
It's horrible. Yeah. Yes. And it just doesn't look right because but yes. So I was thinking about that because I kind of saw a couple of things where I think I saw someone tweet with there was a scratch down the side, and that would send shivers down my spine just to have a scratch switch. That would be just horrible,
especially if it's something you took for granted, you think, well, the docs, I would very much just assume that I could just pop it in there without a care in the world, and if I drew it back out and it had a scratch, I'd just be like, if it had just said be careful, I'd have been careful. So, yeah, that'll probably get fixed with the next iteration of docks. The US site apparently has taken, whether it's coincidental, we don't know, but the US Nintendo site, you can't buy the single dock now. And people are saying on NeoGAF that maybe they're doing a recall or something. And they're going to try and fix that. Don't know, just a rumour. The other thing is Nintendo have replied on their US webpage, not on the UK webpage, but that might have changed by the time we're podding. But they've done a report, an answer to the question about the desyncing of the Joy-Cons, which some people, not everybody, is having. I presume you guys haven't had this because you would have mentioned it.
I haven't, but I do know of 2 people who have, including friend of the show, Manny.
Yes.
So what happens here, I think it's the left Joy-Con. So if you're running along with Link, and then all of a sudden your Joy-Con will just desync without you knowing it, and Link will just carry on running. So he could run off a cliff, or he could just keep running on the desert and it'd be okay, but you could die. Either way, it's not great. When this was first reported, I think the majority of people were kind of just like, this hasn't been reported enough to be a thing. But as after launch, I think more and more people are suffering from this. Anyway, Nintendo have put a little sort of response on the US website, and it says, what does it they say? It's the entry for Joy-Con not responding or responding incorrectly when used wirelessly, and they say the main solution suggested is moving the Joy-Cons closer to the Switch and making sure there are no other wireless devices within 3 to 4 feet. Also on the checklist is make sure that the Switch is not behind a TV, near an aquarium, placed in or
in the bath, covered in applesauce.
Oh man!
Buried in the garden. It's all right. It's covered in applesauce. Placed in or under a metal object. Pressed against a large amount of wires and cords, or within 3 to 4 feet of another wireless device, such as a wireless speaker or a wireless access point. So that's the checklist if you're getting these disconnects.
Yeah, and so when Manny had this over the weekend, so I showed him how my setup is, because of where the spare plug and the spare HDMI is, mine is next to the AV cabinet. It's on a small table that's usually got a lamp on it, so it's away from the main hub of all the wires or stuff, and I haven't had a single problem. And Manny had originally put his next to his router, and I think as soon as he moved it away, the problems cleared up. I'm not saying completely, but they dropped off a cliff. So I think it is there is proper substance to if it's near a router or something that is properly chugging out the information to the sky, then you might have issues.
Yeah, I mean, I got a new phone a few weeks ago, and because it was the convenient place, I ended up putting the main base station next to the router, and I was getting interference on the phone. I read through the instructions and it said, and then it made sense when I read it. It was like, yeah, well, don't put it near things that are giving out loads of signals, like routers and things and TVs and things that are interfacing with information wirelessly. And when I read it, I was kind of like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. Moved it away and it was better. But that, I think it works on a different frequency, but, I suppose the same thing applies. Now, it may be that fixes the problem. Hopefully that's all it is. Or hopefully it can be patched with a patch. But a guy on YouTuber by the name of Spawnwave, he has opened up the Joy-Cons and had a look at this problem. And he extended the range of the Joy-Con by moving. He found out where the sensor was, and it turns out that the Bluetooth, I think it's the Bluetooth sensor, is actually on the left controller. It's kind of right underneath where the main majority of your hand is, so it's really buried. He moved it to a different position, and he said that he's managed to increase the range to about 20 feet instead of 10. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, because he's put a video showing what he did and stuff. That's a bit concerning, because hopefully it's just a coincidence, but it could be a hardware thing. I suppose if it is a hardware thing, it just means that they'll sort out the Joy-Cons, and eventually newer Joy-Cons will have a different placement of the Bluetooth chip in the Joy-Con, I presume on the left one. Maybe.
Yeah, it almost seems like, as I was worried about this from a pricing point of view, that they have just jammed so much into such a tiny area, because you've got the near-field communication stuff, you've got the HD rumble, you've got the infrared, you've got so many things, and it's you just wonder if there's a slight amount of poor planning when it comes to this robustness in the field. Is there too much packed in there for it to work flawlessly? And also the worry is that if they have decided to go with a custom version of Bluetooth, what effect has that taken at this point?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not a great fan of proprietary stuff. I prefer open. But also there's the fact, when you're talking about, maybe a little bit of a rushed out release, maybe they could have waited a little bit, but I think there's definitely a feeling that they were trying to get it out before the end of their fiscal year, which is just about to end. And when you think about that, getting this out before the end of their fiscal year makes the shareholders happy. There might have been some pressure to do that. A lot of things around this launch make me feel that it was sort of kind of like, you've got to get it out by here, whereas it could have benefited even by a month's delay to when Mario Kart came out. So it was end of April, isn't it? And launched it with Mario Kart and Zelda being out at the same time, plus more indies, more time. I don't know. They probably wouldn't. That's probably not time to redesign the Joy-Con or anything like that, but, just thought I'd offer that out there. Also, Antony, you've got a Pro Controller, haven't you?
I have indeed.
Apparently, good old Ninty have left you a lovely message
They have
that
indeed.
they've hidden on the Pro Controller. If you tilt the right-hand analog stick
All
downwards...
it says is sucker.
Thanks for the 70 quid. Have you done it then? Have you seen the message?
I have indeed. I found the message on Sunday.
Oh, wow. And what does it say?
It says, thanks to all game fans.
Wow. So, I've got a picture of this, but I can't really see where it is. Whereabouts on the stick is it? Is it on the ball at the bottom of the analog stick?
No, it's just kind of it's before the as you pull the right analog stick down. If you look inside the little gap that kind of leaves, it's in there. So it's just kind of around where the analog stick would obviously kind of touch the motherboard. It's kind of just around that, just that opening on there, and it just says it inside there. It's very cute.
After finding that, did you sort of search the whole pad looking for more clues and hints?
I ripped my Switch apart just to see if there was anything else.
Yeah, coordinates, and if you follow them, like you dig a chest out and it's got a free switch in it, or something like that.
That would say cool. As long as as long as it had the Zelda theme when you opened up the chest, I'd be happy. But yeah, though, I thought it was a gorgeous little touch. I thought it was lovely.
Yeah, it's really nice. And finally, a quick just sort of look at the sales figures. It's early days yet, but it looks like it's had a good launch in the UK. It sold 80,000 units on launch day, which is double the Wii U, which sold 40,000. So that, it's too early to tell, like James said before. But, it shows that they did something right with the messaging and the marketing that they probably didn't do with the Wii U. So that's optimistic. Just as a comparison, we have a list of launch day. Maybe this could be first week sales, actually. It could be first week sales. So let's have a comparison. Wii U did 40k, so this is the lowest on the list. And then we got the 360 that did 70k. The Wii did 105k. 3DS did 113k. Xbox One did 150k, respectable. PS3 did 165k. And at the top of the heap, PS4 with almost untouchable, it seems at the moment, 250,000 in the first week.
Wow. So is that in the UK?
That's UK. That's UK figures, yeah. I've been reading that the Switch has done. This is just before the pod. Absolutely sold out in France, like 100,000 units or something. Can't get one for love nor money in France. I also read the Japanese figures, and I haven't got any reference here, but it was around. I can't remember.
330,637 in 3 days.
Thank you. I thought it was around 300,000, but really, you're a wealth of information off the top of your head there, Antony. Thank you.
I know, right?
So it's good, isn't it? It sounds like it's off to a good start. Off to a good start.
Absolutely, that sounds. I mean, the stuff that was hitting a lot of websites today was saying that it's the fastest selling Nintendo launch in the UK.
Wow.
So, with its 80,000, even more so in the first 3 days than the Wii. But I think that was just because the stock was even more scarce, I think, for the Wii.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. But that's it. That's my Switch corner, my overview of the news stories since the launch.
Excellent stuff. Next piece of news is with you, James.
Yeah, just a swift one, because I think I actually missed this last week when it came out, but it turns out that Ubisoft have announced a deal with James Cameron for a game or two based around Avatar. And it seems like it's they're going all in as they want to make it high profile, and this is big and it's going to be expensive. Unfortunately, they released one of those trailers that was just basically clips from the film and devs talking about games rather than showing anything, so there is nothing of substance as of yet by the looks of things. It was all a bit vague and fluffy, but what's come out of this is also that they've basically signed up Massive Entertainment to do this, and they're the team that were primarily behind The Division. So this is now calling into question whether there will be a Division 2, or even if there will be a second year of support for The Division. After Eurogamer had actually contacted Ubisoft about it, they do say there will be continued support for The Division, and they're thankful for the community's dedication and look forward to sharing more what's coming soon. But yeah, the speculation is that The Division didn't quite sell as well as people had hoped, and so the team might be taking a hiatus and moving to some big blue people instead of some disease-racking New York, which I think it's a shame. I wish I'd experienced more of The Division as it came out, but yes, the internet problems I had last year put paid to that. But you guys have been having good fun with it.
Absolutely. I was hoping that there would be either a year 2 or a division 2, because absolutely, I mean, I think we just this past week, the last of the DLC, the season pass DLC, was released, and I know we've already got rumblings about maybe kind of firing that up soon. So it is something that is definitely still there. It's definitely something that I really enjoy kind of jumping back into, and I was hoping that we would get more. So I wonder what the Avatar game's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be a kind of a division in whatever that, looking for rare Atanium or whatever.
I mean, I'm not against the Division taking a break, because I'm quite happy that they, with them doing, what was it, Rainbow Six, then the Division, now they're doing Ghost Recon. I think this is actually a good way to go with their franchises, because you see the fatigue that is setting in with Call of Duty sales figures. It's like, yeah, give a co-op game with lots of expanse and lots of options, but just vary what you can do in it. Rainbow Six is different to the Division, which is Division to Ghost Recon. So yeah, if we cycle like this, then let's do it. I'm all for this.
Absolutely, give it a little bit of space, as long as there is another one, because I really enjoyed the look, the gameplay, all the co-op that we did as a group. It was just such great fun. It absolutely, if they say, right, okay, blue people next year, and then blue people in New York because it's cold, the year after, then that I would be completely happy with that, and that would be something to look forward to, isn't it? Rather than, we've got to get another one out, we've got to get another one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse than when they just sort of saturate the market with over-egging the cake with the franchise. Look at it's happened with Assassin's Creed as well, and it just and with the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games, actually. It's just sort of like, people like this, let's make 1 million of them and make 1 million, hopefully. And yeah, people just, I don't know, they're not just cash cows to be milked forever. People will eventually just be like, yeah, I've sort of had enough of that, and you just sort of want something different. And it's just when it's knowing. I think the cleverness of it is knowing when you've got a good idea on your hands, but also knowing when to back off and just let it breathe.
Yes.
And like you say, give it that time. I think by the next Assassin's Creed game, which I think I saw a leak is rumoured to be in Egypt and coming out next year, I think maybe when that hits, I might be ready for another one, but I skipped the last game because I just got sick of the formula. And that's, you don't want it to stagnate. You don't want people to think it's stale and boring. You want to keep people interested, and I think a lot of that is by absence makes the heart grow fonder, and totally. I think that's where the developer Rockstar have got some good ideas as well, because they wait, they take the time. You can sort of almost guarantee the quality, can't you? And it sells bucket loads, and then they rest back and they regroup and they think about what they're going to do next. Presumably, I don't know for sure. I think it's just a better model. It's sort of, it's kind of, don't let the greed blind you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the same with Zelda. I haven't played a Zelda since Wind Waker, because I never really played Twilight Princess because I didn't like the waggling, and it looked really bad. It looked really kind of dark, and I just didn't like it. So I never played Twilight Princess. So I've been away from a 3D Zelda for a while, apart from obviously when I revisited Ocarina on the 3DS. And so to get back into this AAA, this lovely looking kind of game, it was really nice to get back into a Zelda game, and I had missed it. So it was you're absolutely right, Darren. Kind of by pulling away, by doing that absence, it will make that new game come out kind of even more special. Like if we do get a Star Wars Battlefront this year, that's quite nice, because it's been kind of a full year. I mean, we could even wait another year, and you would just start panging for it and just get the best you can. So I'm absolutely happy with this kind of almost kind of skip it, have a year free, so you kind of support, and then kind of have a year free, and then you go back into the next one.
Yeah, and when you do, it's like, I've missed you, old friend. That's
exactly. Exactly. And and that leads rather lovely onto the next piece of news that I have, which is about Destiny. Now, Nicola and I played the last Destiny expansion, and once we kind of finished that as much as we can, I haven't played Destiny for a while. And so to find out that obviously we're going to get a Destiny 2, there are rumours that we'll be getting a Destiny 2 this year, and then we're going to get more information at E3. So that was a good piece of news. The kind of strange piece of news, but I'm all for this, is that the sequel, the Destiny 2, is not going to bring over your characters. So your characters that you're currently playing, leveling up, kitting out, will not carry over. The progress will not carry over to Destiny 2. Now, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm okay with this, because I like the idea of that we can start afresh again, and then I'm not kind of starting with this huge light level guardian that I can now kind of start from scratch. I can always get all of my armor removed from me, and I can then just start leveling up again, and I can just start enjoying that story.
I'm always of a mix of these things. I think I can see the want to try and bring characters over, because it's like, hey, you've got this attachment to them. But then I just wonder how much content you could miss out on, or how much more they could do by start from scratch. So I think it's a double-edged sword in that sense. You know, if you do it one way, you're going to put off some people. If you do it another, you're going to really annoy people who've spent hundreds of hours putting in the characters. But I guess what is the end goal for this? It makes it, yeah. I guess if there's the competitive multiplayer edge, which the Destiny have obviously got, then it makes sense to bring characters over, because you're going to want people just to carry on where they left off. But the leveling up tree could look ridiculous by that point if you have all the old powers, and then do they have to come up with more powers? It could be a balancing nightmare if they just add on top.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than kind of going into a brand new game. You know, if you've put all of that time into Destiny, going into a brand new game completely overpowered, and that just makes kind of, like, as you say, the opening story could be a bit tedious, because you're just running through, just taking everyone out, you know, unless they leveled up the AI to kind of match. But on a blog post, Bungie wrote, sequels represent the start of a new adventure for every player, with new worlds to explore, new stories to tell, new powers to acquire, new loot to earn. Oh, it gets me so excited. And much more. This led us to a decision that would enable us to serve both the game and the players both interests. So Destiny 1 power possessions and Eververse related items and currency will not carry forward. So they are basically just saying, like, let's kind of explore this new world, explore Destiny 2 together, and start from afresh. I mean, I really enjoyed Destiny. I know Darren, you kind of gave up on it. James, you uninstalled it. More for your own
Rage
sake,
quits,
probably.
yeah.
But you know, I really enjoyed it kind of throughout, and they have been supporting this game for 3 years, and now we're going to get Destiny 2, and before Destiny kind of finishes, obviously it's going to continue being supported in the multiplayer arena, but before the last hurrah is happening in March, and that's basically the Age of Triumph event, which is going to be the last big event, which is a very fitting send-off, Bungie was saying, to Destiny, and it's going to give us the Vault of Glass raid once more, but maybe with a different skew on it. So they're kind of showing it and letting it bow out in style, but getting ready for Destiny 2, which no doubt will be released and shown off at E3 this year.
Wow. As a Destiny, an ex-Destiny player, I always say this, you know, Destiny was the game that I wouldn't have a PS4 without it. It was Destiny that, well, I probably would have by now, but Destiny was the game that pushed me over the edge for buying a PS4. And my PS4 was the Destiny Edition Glacier White thing that came out on Destiny midnight launch, the only midnight launch I've ever been to, when Destiny came out. So I enjoyed Destiny, but yeah, I got a bit sick of it pretty quick. But I think from a business point of view, it must have been a very difficult one to make here, because on the one hand, it's let's start again, and hopefully we can get more players coming in, new players, which will, you know, eventually, hopefully we'll keep the old players, get new players in, get more revenue. Or if you keep that same ecosystem, you'll retain, hopefully, all the existing players, but you'd probably kind of wall off the new players, but you keep all the existing players happy. So it must have been a difficult one to call. As a non-Destiny player, I like it starting from scratch because maybe with some extra story in there and stuff. Well, I mean, you said it all got fixed anyway in the end, Antony, but Destiny 2 may appeal to other people like it appeals to me as a time to jump in again and see what's going on, as long as it's looking good.
Indeed, I can't wait to hear more information about this because it could be, like I say, Nicola and I just played it together. We just had a blast. It felt like a Bungie game, and it was kind of fixed in I know you had to pay for that fix, but it was fixed in the one of the DLCs that came out, and it was just good fun. So hopefully we're going to get more information at E3 this year. So Destiny 2 is coming. So that's all we have for our very light news section. It's now time to head over to the VR news desk for all the latest in VR.
VR Desk.
Hi guys, welcome to the VR desk. Hope you're both well and in the mood for some VR news.
Always.
Always. Oh, that's what I like to hear. This first PSVR only PlayStation Plus game has been revealed, apparently at GDC, which has just finished. This game is a game I've never played, and I always see the name and I always want to pronounce it as Dragon Rapper, but it's Danganronpa.
Yes.
You heard
is
of
that the one
Danganronpa?
with the black and white scary bear?
Mama Kuma Bear. Yep, absolutely.
What were
I don't know
those
anything
words?
about it.
Mama Kuma Bear.
Mama Kuma Bear just rolls off the tongue.
It does, actually. So I don't know anything about these games, but there's a few of them, isn't there? There's a few Danganronpa games. Have you played them, Antony?
I haven't. No. It's just one of the podcasts I listen to. One of the guys on there is just absolutely obsessed with Danganronpa. So,
oh wow. Well, you'll be able to get familiar then, Antony, and you, James. You know, if you can bear to pop your PSVR on.
It might be a reason to do so. Yeah.
It may be. So, Cyber Danganronpa. I hope I'm saying that right. The Class Trial VR apparently is launching today, 7th of March. In North America, and 10th of March for us in the EU for PSVR.
Right.
So apparently it's going to be free for PS Plus members. Cool. So there you go.
I think this
free download.
I think this is really good because I think from what I hear at work, there are several people like me that if Resident Evil didn't click for you, then you're still wanting a reason to go back. And I don't think there's been many high-profile games that have got the traffic, the publicity since that initial wave. Like we found Headmaster because it was in that caught up that initial flow of information when Sony released it. But ever since then, it's been, apart from Resident Evil, it's been really scant in what has been big and high profile. So this, I think, is a really good step to getting it back front and centre, and hopefully is an indication of what's going to come later in the year.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I mean, we said last week, I think it was last week anyway, that Sony have committed in 2017 that they're working on 100 new experiences and games, not just experiences.
Yeah, what percentage is games?
I was so gutted when I was reading that, and it was like, yeah, we're committed, we're going to make 100 new experiences. And like usually I would just say, but because it's VR and experiences, you're like, oh, that's not a game, it's just going to be like looking around. Anyway, I'll read you the quick synopsis of this Danganronpa. Flipping heck, I knew I'd mess it up. Danganronpa.
Mama Dunker Bear. What was it?
I just want to call it Dragon Rapper. That's what I want to say. Or maybe that's the game I want to make, Dragon Rapper. Sequel to Parappa the Rapper. Anyway, enough rapping. In this game, stand trial for murder with your classmates in this tech demo based on Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Use your truth bullets to shoot through suspicious statements and find the killer. And before you get too comfortable, remember that the Headmaster has a special punishment prepared just for you. So there you go.
And I guess the Headmaster is the Monokuma Bear.
I don't know. You're the expert. You have to tell me. I don't understand about this game. I can't even say the name of it. It's weird. It's like it's slippery to me. Danganronpa. Demon. Next bit of news. PSVR again. This might help, James. Maybe a little bit more than the last game. Maybe. Do you remember Farpoint? It was shown when they were showing off the PSVR. It's that shooty game on an alien planet.
Yep.
FPS game by the look of it.
Okay.
Well, that's coming out on May the 16th, with you can get it in a bundle with the PSVR aim controller, which is like a gun to go with it. It's going to have the move controller thing on the front of the gun, and so you'll be in the game, first-person shooter, looking down at your gun, and you'll have a gun in your hand. Could work really well.
Yeah, I'm a bit intrigued that they say that this is a dedicated new controller with extra sensors in there to make it more accurate. It could be just because I'm down on the platform, the mini platform within a platform, however you want to describe it, at the moment. But it does seem to be like, hey guys, we're not quite sure this is working, so we're going to make you buy more stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, maybe. I know you try to bring me on the positive, but
no, it's a fair. I mean, I don't know. I've never played PSVR, so I actually don't know how it feels.
It's honestly not bad, but I think it's the fact they are.
Are you saying this is like an admission that the tracking's not great?
Yeah,
by saying that this will be better.
This gun has got extra motion sensors in it.
Why? And we're saying, so why aren't they in the move controllers?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Why isn't this like when Nintendo redid the Wiimotes with the Motion Plus stuff? It's like, yeah, make it standard. Why is this a separate thing?
Yeah, well, then Sony say, well, they wouldn't really say it, but the answer is because they've used 6-year-old technology from the move controllers from way back when instead of redoing them.
Yep.
Maybe. Well, that's happy.
Sorry.
Happy
it looks an interesting game. I will be definitely more interested to play that, and I will probably, if there's a demo at least, want to see how it works with the move controllers separately from this new gun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish that I could understand how it felt in PSVR. One day I'll get to have a go of it. But they also said that the aim controller there's going to be other games made for it too. It's not going to be just for this game. This controller coming out is not only for Farpoint, but this controller is going to be used as a peripheral in other games and, I dread to use the word, but in other experiences, I'm sure. So we'll see what happens there. But at the moment, Farpoint's going to be sort of the alpha way to experience this aim controller, as it's called.
It's quite interesting because they seem to have been sitting on this for a while, Farpoint. I actually thought it was already out because when I got to play the PSVR at EGX, this was one of the demos with that peripheral as well.
Oh, was it? Yeah, well, I remember. See, I'd forgotten about it till I saw this news story. But I remember when I saw the screenshots and the gun, I was like, "Oh yeah, They made a big noise about this when they were launching it, didn't they? You know, in the run up to launch, it was all over the trailers for the PSVR.
Yeah.
Maybe that means they've taken their time. This could be, akin to Resident Evil, but a full game there, hopefully. But more appealing to the likes of me and James that can't hack the scariness." I hope so. Anyway, I hope so, and I'd love to see what else they're going to be doing with that aim controller. Because they've committed to this lineup for this year, I've got faith that they're going to bring other stuff out. It'd be terrible if it just gathered dust. Farpoint, you're like, yeah, I did that, and that's it. It wasn't used. But there's all sorts of fun gun games you can have, even experiences. They could just do a duck shoot carnival, and that'd be fun. Just stuff like that. I hope they do more, but they could just throw that together.
But the Brookhaven experience, you could have that as one of your guns. You could use that in there. There are other games already out where you're using a gun that they could just patch it into, couldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I see. I now don't. I forgot Brookhaven's out on PSVR, but I bet loads of other games like that. Just any game with a gun in, just patch that in.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. So that's really cool. Then we get to a little bit of information about Star Trek Bridge Crew, which I'm really looking forward to. And I think, James, that'd definitely help you, I reckon, getting this game.
Yes. Yeah, this seems like it's something that is different, and I think that VR will not only enhance, but I think will make it. It's fair enough. I'm sure I said before, I've played other bridge simulators in the past, but they've only really, really clicked when we've all been sat around one table shouting at each other as if we are in a proper confined area. So
yeah, I'm praying for crossplay on this one. I'm sure that I read somewhere that it was.
Yeah, Ubisoft have basically said that all of their VR games will or should be crossplay, just because the market's so small in each of them that it makes sense
to work together. Yeah, absolutely, and not wall it off. So that I'm praying that we get this and we play together. This is what I'm looking forward to. So there's not really been much detail of it, but we now have some information. It's going to have 40 plus hours of gameplay in it. This has been revealed at GDC again by Ubisoft's Vice President of Digital Publishing, Chris Early, and he's given some details on it, and he said, yeah, it's going to be a 40 plus hour experience. He said that there's going to be scripted missions that are more kind of a more linear story that you can enjoy. They'll give you the chance to follow a cohesive chain of events, and there's also going to be non-linear ongoing voyages, an ongoing voyages mode that provides randomised missions to dive into solo or with friends.
Cool.
Which means, hopefully, if they've got a good algorithm there, it could always be different. You just hop in, let's do a random mission, guys. Off we go on an unknown quest. Oh man, that could just be so good.
Yeah, I think if they've got 40 hours worth of campaign as well, hopefully they've got enough variety within that to really seed the random nature of these quests as
yeah,
really
that could be like
meaty.
the tutorial, couldn't it, for us all?
Yeah,
as well. Well, part not maybe not the full 40. You get a badge if you do the full 40.
It's like Final Fantasy. It really opens up after 40 hours. So no.
Yeah, James is like, I just want to go off though. I just want to do it from the
start.
You can't this time.
I just really want an experience after this. Yeah.
yeah. You know, and you're looking back at your demo disc, going, "That's just my cup of tea." But yeah, it sounds really good. The official synopsis for Bridge Crew is this: developed specifically for VR, Star Trek Bridge Crew will immerse you in the Star Trek universe, explore a largely uncharted sector of space known as the Trench, with your friends on board the USS Aegis. In co-op, form a crew of 4 players to serve in the roles of captain, helm, tactical, or engineer. Brilliant.
Awesome.
I reckon this could be... It could be the best VR. This could be the niche that it finds. It's so new and original. You know, these kind of bridge type games, they've not really been explored. They're certainly not mainstream, I don't think. This could just... I think it could be amazing. I think it really could. I hope it will be.
Touch wood. Touch wood.
Touch wood, let's hope.
Yeah,
and final... Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, this is one that I've actually kind of added to my boomerang list, because I just want to make sure that, you know, it's one of those ones where you kind of, shall I see it, will it be worthwhile kind of putting the money in? And I think if we have kind of like a really good kind of cross-platform VR experience, it's one of those ones where you'll just go, yeah, I want to buy this now. But it's kind of one of those ones you just need to make sure that everybody's there and, you know, before you kind of jump into it.
Yeah, I'm going to be... watching this one with a keen eye. I won't be able to rent it, mate. For me, it'll be an all or nothing thing on Steam.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there's the refund policy, but I'll just see. If I'm not absolutely sure, I might just wait till you had to go on your boomerang version and wait for your analysis. But I'm quietly confident. I mean, they delayed it, didn't they? This was supposed to be out some months ago, but they delayed it.
Yeah.
Which I take as a good sign. I take that as a good sign, really.
So it's May 30th, 2017 is when we'll be boldly going where no one has gone before.
My birthday.
Your birthday?
Oh.
Yeah, that's my birthday.
Oh, no, you'll be like the drunken captain.
I'm like that anyway. I'm like that anyway. But maybe even more drunken. Even more drunken captain.
You'll be a better captain in Sea of Thieves than you would in Star Trek VR, I think.
I would. But even in Sea of Thieves, they'd probably ban me from the grog. And finally, we've got news of an Oculus Rift price cut that was also announced at GDC. Oculus have said they're going to bring the headset down from... I've only got this in dollars, but from $599 down to $499. And the touch controllers, you see that you get them separately with the Oculus. It's all sort of modular. They're coming down to $99. So that brings the whole package down to $598 instead of what it was, which was $798.
That's quite a nice drop, yeah.
Yeah, it's like $200 drop, which... I presume they've done it because we went through the figures the other week, and I think Rift had done half the Vive, and PSVR have done the whole world, so it doesn't matter. But maybe it's in a response to the fact that they haven't shifted as many units as the Vive. They've dropped it by $200. Vive apparently don't feel that they need to respond to this price cut. They said, yeah, we're just going to leave it as is. At the moment, we're looking at a difference of $1. So you could get the whole Oculus set up with the touch controllers now for $798, as I just said. Vive costs $799, so they're both on the same ballpark now.
That's good. That's good.
It is good. It is good. We could, price war's always going to be healthy. It's all a little bit unobtainable, isn't it, at the moment? But as long as the competition's there, that can only mean good things for the consumer, I'd say.
Absolutely, that's the whole good thing about these kind of console wars, isn't it? The consumer wins most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Hopefully we'll win with VR, and yeah, hopefully we'll win with VR.
Awesome stuff. And that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod. You can find us on YouTube and also on the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox Club. Darren, where can we find you online, sir?
You can find me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, DazAgamer on YouTube, and at DazWhittam on Twitter.
Fantastic. James, where can we find you?
I am BIGsheep on Twitter, Xbox Live and PlayStation, and some arbitrary 12-digit code on Nintendo Switch.
For me, I have Chessman on Xbox Live and Switch, and PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. And also, if you're feeling generous, please give us a review on iTunes. Right, I'm going to go and fire up the Switch. So, catch you later on, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.